Chapter 3010. The Thunder Explosion Fist didn't have any fancy techniques to speak of, nor did it have any complicated circulation routes. Everything was very simple, or even violent. Simple and violent. It was to mobilize the power and use the Thunder Explosion technique to punch out the power of the Thunder body exploding. In his sea of consciousness, a lightning shadow appeared and began to demonstrate this punch. As the fist landed, the power of thunder gathered on the fist exploded. It was like a thunder meteorite exploding, or the yin-yang thunder lotus that had accumulated too much power exploding. The space instantly lit up and was enveloped by the boundless power of thunder. The raging thunder was infinitely magnified by the power of the thunder explosion, making this attack even more terrifying. It was like a person with great strength who had a sharp weapon in his hand, becoming even stronger. It was also like a tiger king in the mountains who had a pair of wings that could fly. A small success, Thunder Body was already terrifying. With the thunder explosion, the power of the Thunder Body was infinitely magnified, causing an even stronger attack. After the fluctuations in his body dissipated, Zichen opened his eyes. Then he saw that there was no one around. Everyone was standing in a corner, looking at him in shock. "Why aren't you cultivating?" Zichen asked in confusion. "Cultivating? You made such a big commotion. How can we cultivate?" Monk said unhappily. When Zichen was breaking through, the people nearby stayed away from him, so the others could still cultivate. However, as time passed, his aura became more and more terrifying, and more thunder spread in all directions. This forced everyone to retreat, away from the place where they cultivated. Otherwise, their lives would be in danger. Not to mention the others. Even Zichen's doppelganger also retreated. Although the two of them had the same soul, the power from before clearly carried a sense of destruction that did not recognize anyone. Zichen, who came back to his senses, smiled apologetically and said, "It's okay now. Everyone, hurry up and cultivate. Try to break through as soon as possible." Zichen closed his eyes again and absorbed the energy within it to refine it. However, during this process, Zichen found that the thunder body no longer grew after absorbing the energy. Obviously, it had reached the limit of growth, just like the spirit devouring king grass. In other words, the grade of the energy here could only allow them to reach the king realm. After that, it was useless. The others stepped forward and continued to sit cross-legged. Zichen did not give up because his energy had yet to break through. Under the circumstances that his thunder body could not absorb, his energy could still break through. Thus, he continued to refine the energy in front of him. The energy here was very suitable for breaking through to the godly king realm, or rather, it was the preparation for breaking through to the godly king realm. Next, everyone released powerful auras one after another, announcing that they had broken through to the godly king realm. The first to reach the immortal king realm was Su Mengyao, followed by Luo Yi, followed by Tyrant and the others. After breaking through, everyone was extremely excited. Before coming here, they had just broken through to rank 9. They didn't even dare to think that they could become existences comparable to divine kings here. Although they were all in the divine king realm, they were existences who had undergone the tempering of a 9th grade physical body. They were much stronger than the divine kings of the outside world. Just in terms of physical strength, they far surpassed them. He had achieved his goal in the God King territory this time. With his current realm, if he went back to the God King territory, the Life Star would have a strong force guarding it. He believed that it would develop better. This time, Zichen was the last to break through. Because his energy was very special and there was a world behind him, it naturally consumed a lot of energy. At the moment when his energy broke through, his world began to tremble. Then his soul continued to grow, and at the same time it underwent changes. The divine general realm and the divine king realm were two different concepts. His world began to expand again. At the same time, more rules began to grow. The world's defense and the will of the rules also became more powerful. When he broke through, his doppelganger also broke through. His doppelganger used to be a heavenly god's bone. Now, it had reached the divine king realm. Although it was still far from the heavenly god realm, it was obviously one step closer to the heavenly god realm. When Zi-Chen broke through and opened his eyes, he found that everyone had broken through. They were all looking at him. Their eyes were filled with uncontrollable joy. Standing up, Zi-Chen said with a smile, "Seems like everyone has broken through. We should go now." Everyone nodded. It was a great surprise that everyone had reached the divine king realm. All of this was because of Kong Mo. The group walked out of the 9-floored light pagoda. As soon as they walked out of the light pagoda, a new map appeared in Kong Mo's mind. This was the correct route to leave this place. While moving forward, Zi-Chen suddenly opened his world and took Li Ai in. Suddenly entering Zi-Chen's world and seeing that no one else followed, Li Ai was very puzzled. Zi-Chen said, "Back then you left something here. Now that you have broken through to the divine king realm, I can give it to you." "Me." Li Ai's beautiful eyes were full of puzzlement. She said, "Did you remember wrongly? When did I leave you anything?" Zi-Chen said with a smile, "Whether I remembered wrongly or not, you will know by looking at it yourself." Zi-Chen took out the memory that Li Ai left here. Li Ai looked at the sealed memory ball, and her expression became more and more puzzled. Because she believed it, she did not hesitate. She took it and fused it into her memory. As she began to read those memories, Li Ai's expression gradually changed. Scenes from back then appeared again. At that time, she was only a divine envoy who went out to train with Zi-Chen and goddess I-Chen. Her original identity was also equivalent to a goddess. When she was about to leave that world, she sealed her memory and gave it to the two of them for safekeeping. After that, Divine King Sandini began to target her, and twice at that. At that time, she was very puzzled and puzzled. Now, she understood everything. After reading all the memories, she looked at Zi-Chen and said solemnly, "Thank you." They were just strangers who met by chance. But Zi-Chen had kept the memory until now. Zi-Chen said with a smile, "There is no need to be so polite between us." Li Ai nodded. They had become very familiar with each other over the years. Back then, I said that the real reason my father died was because he knew a secret. Now I have seen the secret. Li Ai said. Zi-Chen said, "That is your secret. You don't have to tell us." Li Ai shook her head and said, "We are companions. There is no need to keep it a secret from you. This secret is for divine gods. My father discovered that the divine world does not only have 9 divine gods." What? Zi-Chen's expression changed. The divine world's 9 divine gods had existed since the divine race came into existence. Now Li Ai was telling him that the divine world did not have 9 divine gods. Chapter 30:11. A celestial god died because he knew the secret. What did this mean? Zi-Chen furrowed his brows. This news was simply too shocking. Before coming to this world, the 9 celestial gods left the heavenly realm. It was said that this trip would be dangerous. Was it related to this matter? Looking at the frowning Zi-Chen, Li Ai said again, "In my memory, there is a world entrance left behind by my father. However, with my soul power, I can't open it yet." Back then, Li Ai said that her father knew the way to become a celestial god. Sacred King Sandini must have targeted her for this. Could it be that the way to become a celestial god was in the entrance that Li Ai mentioned? The light flashed again, and the 2 figures appeared. Monk sized them up and asked curiously, "Do you two have any private secrets?" Zi-Chen glanced at Monk and didn't say anything. Monk muttered again, "There can't be any secrets, right?" Then he looked at Su Mengyao and the others and found that their expressions were normal. Monk was still puzzled. What secrets could the 2 have? Outside Luke City, a team of divine generals walked into the city. It was obvious that it was their first time here. A group of young beggars immediately came forward, wanting to ask for some food. Many years ago, there was a young beggar who was taken away by a powerful team and never returned. In the eyes of the other young beggars, he must have lived the rest of his life peacefully and disappeared from the world. They were very envious. Therefore, over the years, there were many people who imitated that young beggar, but few succeeded. Scram! A furious roar came from the group, and a powerful shockwave spread out. Those young beggars who had just arrived were directly sent flying. Compared to the other teams, this team was very arrogant. At this moment, a black light suddenly flew over from the horizon. Like a spirit snake, it entered the body of one of the beggars. No one noticed the black light. They only saw the person next to him sway and almost fall. Wagway, are you okay? Seeing him sway, a woman next to him asked. The others also stopped and looked at the God clan member named Xiaowei. I'm fine. Wagway shook his head. If there's nothing else, then hurry up and leave. Based on our speed, when will we reach the divine king domain? A dissatisfied voice came from the side. Ben Sun Lu, we're not familiar with this place. There's no need to be in such a hurry. Humph, isn't it good to become a god king earlier? Yan Wei didn't say a word. At that moment, he was sensing the changes in his body. Gradually, a hint of shock appeared in his eyes. This world is still divided into 9 tiers. It seems like I still have a long way to go. It's Zichen. I didn't expect to see you again. This is very good. Zichen and the others followed Kong Mo. Along the way, they were enveloped by Kong Mo's energy, so they didn't have to worry about being swept away by the energy. The next time a spatial behemoth appeared, it would be sent flying by Kong Mo. After reaching God King, Kong Mo's battle prowess had become even greater. The quality of the heavy hammers he usually used for forging had increased once again. With each strike, he would produce extremely great power. Zichen and the others were naturally happy with Kong Mo's strength. It could be said that other than Zichen and Su Mengyao, the others couldn't possibly be Kong Mo's opponent due to their natural restraints. Kong Mo, who was moving forward, suddenly became excited. He turned his head and said, "Big brother, we're going to leave soon." The most mysterious God King's domain was about to appear. Everyone's mood became extremely excited. They were filled with curiosity and yearning for the unknown God King's domain. It's right in front. A ray of light flashed, and the group walked out of heaven's path. As soon as they appeared, a powerful airwave appeared. Their bodies involuntarily moved backward. At the same time, exclamations sounded from all around. Zichen turned his head and looked around. He saw many 9th grade divine generals around him. Zichen recognized that these people were the ones who entered heaven's path. Obviously, they had found the exit successfully. However, their expressions changed drastically. Their eyes were filled with fear. The source of the fear was in front. There was a giant beast there. Its body was surrounded by a yellow light, and it was releasing an extremely powerful aura. Its body was hundreds of feet long, like a mountain. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. This was a giant beast that was comparable to a god king. No one expected to encounter an existence of this level when they just arrived. At this moment, a person was standing in the air in front of the giant beast. A ball of strong light burst out from the person's body. A complicated pattern appeared in the strong light. A fierce tiger appeared from it. The tiger's aura was extremely powerful. It was not weaker than the God King giant beast in front. Could it be that they were about to see a battle between God Kings? The faces of those people in the distance were filled with excitement. There were also many people who frowned. To encounter an existence of this level when they just arrived here, this was not good news for 9th grade divine generals like them. The 2 giant beasts fought in the air. Powerful shock waves spread in all directions. The God King who summoned the giant beast stood there and watched the battle indifferently. He had no intention of joining the battle. Further away, Zichen saw 6 or 7 people standing there. Among these people, Zichen felt the aura of aboriginals. Obviously, they were god kings like Kong Mo. It was just that he did not know whether they were friends or foes. Between the two king-level battle beasts, the fierce tiger had the upper hand. Its claws fell down. Blood splattered. The other battle beast's body fell to the ground. The great earth rumbled and trembled. Soil flew everywhere like hidden weapons, and a deep ravine appeared. The battle beast turned over and got up. There were many wounds on its body. There was a touch of fear in its eyes. It turned and ran. Obviously, all king-level battle beasts had good intelligence. Maybe it was because it was panicking, but the battle beast ran in the direction of Zi-Qin and the others. The other divine generals along the way were frightened and ran away. When the king-level battle beast ran away, it swallowed a few ninth-grade divine generals. The giant tiger was still chasing after it. Looking at the approaching king-level battle beast, Kong Mo's domain appeared behind him. A giant hammer appeared in his hand. The next moment he rushed into the sky. He poured a powerful force into the giant hammer and smashed it toward the king-level battle beast. With a loud bang, a ripple of light spread out. This incomparably powerful giant beast's skull, which was the hardest part of its body, shattered instantly. Accompanied by the sound of bones breaking, the king-level battle beast fell to the ground and died. Kong Mo stood in the air. Light flowed around his body, attracting everyone's attention. Some people recognized Kong Mo and were shocked. Chapter 3012. Kong Mo attracted everyone's attention after killing a king-level battle beast with a single hammer. His young and tender face was filled with pride. Those who recognized Kong Mo were shocked. They didn't expect him to be so powerful. Then they noticed that Kong Mo had broken through and were even more shocked. They had encountered all kinds of dangers in Heaven's path. It was pure luck that they could reach here. They didn't encounter any resources to break through. The hammer in Kong Mo's hand emitted a powerful aura. The tiger stopped in front of him. It looked at Kong Mo and swooped down. It arrived in front of the dead battle beast, opened its mouth and sucked. A soul appeared from the dead battle beast and entered the tiger's mouth. After swallowing the soul, the tiger closed its eyes as if it had eaten its fill. The next moment, the tiger's body turned into light and returned to the body of the person in the distance. Oh, a member of the craftsmen actually came. That God King level existence glanced at Kong Mo, a faint smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. I wonder which clan you are from. To be able to pass through Heaven's path with Wang Yiping's cultivation, of course you're from my craftsman royal clan. An emotionless voice rang out as a middle-aged man flew over from afar. He came before Kong Mo and asked with a smile, "What's your name?" Kong Mo looked at the middle-aged man curiously. He felt a familiar aura from him. At the same time, he also felt a bloodline connection. "I'm Kong Mo," the middle-aged man laughed. "You really have the craftsman royal clan's bloodline. Come, follow me back to the clan and let the elders see you." Before coming, Kong Hongya told Kong Mo that he might meet his clansmen in this world. He didn't expect to meet them as soon as he arrived. He was happy to meet his clansmen. He said excitedly, "Kong Mo greets the ancestor." The middle-aged man smiled happily. "My seniority isn't much higher than yours. Come with me. I have some friends. They escorted me here. I'll call them." Kong Mo immediately said. The middle-aged man's smile disappeared. "Our craftsman royal clan doesn't allow outsiders to enter." "But—" Kong Mo's smile disappeared. "No buts. This is the rule of the craftsman royal clan. As one of the noblest clans, how can an outsider casually enter?" Looking at the middle-aged man's proud and resolute face, the excitement on Kong Mo's face disappeared. He said, "Then I won't go. I'll follow Big Brother and the others. They escorted me here." "Escort?" The middle-aged man's gaze immediately landed on Zi-Chen's group. He had never seen Zi Chen's group before, but he was very certain that they were the people Kong Mo was talking about. He sneered and said, rather than saying that you were escorting them, it would be more accurate to say that they took advantage of you to reach Wang Yiping. Even if there was any karma between you two, when they used your power to break through to Wang Yiping, the karma was already resolved. Kong Mo shook his head and said, I'm not going. How are you going to grow if you don't go? The middle-aged man's gaze swept past Zi Chen's group and landed on Su Mingyao's group. Surprise flashed in his eyes as he said, you guys can come with me. Although the Craftsman Royal Clan doesn't allow outsiders to enter, it's not a problem to bring some servants. This sentence was directed at Su Mingyao's group, not including Zi Chen's group. Su Mingyao's group ignored the middle-aged man and directly chose to ignore him. They had seen arrogant people before, but it was rare to see someone as arrogant as him. Moreover, the middle-aged man was only Wang Yiping, not much higher than them. However, this middle-aged man was clearly very nice to Kong. Mo Zichen looked at Kong Mo and said, go back to your clan. We have our own things to do. When I have time, I'll come and find you. Kong Mo shook his head and said firmly, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'll only follow Big Brother. Ridiculous. Whether or not they can survive in this world is still a question. If you follow them, you'll only drag yourself down and hinder your progress. The middle-aged man coldly snorted. He turned to Zichen and said, my name is Kong Shuo. I don't care who you are, and I don't care who you are. Remember my words, if you dare to go to the Craftsman Royal Clan, you'll die. With that, the middle-aged man waved his sleeve and disappeared with Kong Mo. The surroundings were silent. No one said a word. This Kong Shuo not only displayed strength, but also a kind of disdain. It was disdain for god kings. All the god generals in the surroundings naturally recognized Zi Chen's group. They were already strong, and now that they were god kings, their battle prowess was naturally even stronger. However, they were still ignored. If even god kings were ignored, then what about them? Why don't you guys come to our soul race? At this moment, Wang Yiping looked over and said, go to our place and be our servants first. Maybe someone from our race will take a fancy to you. If you're lucky enough to give birth to a soul race being, your status in the future will naturally rise because of your child. This sentence was clearly said to Su Mingyao and the others. The meaning was similar to what Kong Shuo had said before. It still did not include Zi Chen and the others. He did not deliberately mock them. This was a natural attitude. In a way, this insult to Su Mingyao and the others was a sincere attitude. Before these people could answer, the self-proclaimed soul race looked into the distance and said, you guys too. If you want to change your status in the king's territory, this is the fastest shortcut for you. The surroundings were silent. Everyone felt uncomfortable in their hearts. My name is Mycelian. I'm in a good mood today, so I'll introduce the king's territory to you guys. At the same time, I'll let you know your situation. Mycelian from the soul race said, in the king's territory there are mainly 3 races, which are the craftsman, soldier, and soul races. These 3 races are divided into many families. The craftsman race that you just saw is the Kong race, the Billy race, and the Larry race. For example, the soul race that we're in has the Mycelian race and other families. These families have absolute status in the king's territory. As for you guys, you can also be called a race. You're an outsider race. You're the main labor force of the king's territory. I can explain it to you like this. In the first few levels of the king's territory, there are mainly 3 types of life forms. The first type is the highly intelligent life form, which is our 3 races. The second type is the low-level life form, which is the outsider race. The last type is the intelligent life form, which is the king beast that you saw earlier. As soon as he said that, the expressions of many divine generals turned ugly. Zi Qin, on the other hand, was very emotional. When they had entered the divine realm, the god race of the divine realm had regarded them as high-level life forms and looked down on them, who came from the life stars. He did not expect that they would be regarded as low-level life forms here. They were even inferior to those battle beasts. In the king's territory, you low-level life forms, the women, have an easier time surviving than the men because you have the advantage of reproduction. Mycelian said, "All right, now that you understand the structure of the king's territory, who wants to follow me can become a servant of the Mycelian race. You Wang Yiping barely qualify and can also follow me." Chapter 30:13. Mycelian looked at Zi Chen's group, waiting for their reply. There was no expectation on his face, as if he was just talking casually. He didn't even have any interest in Su Mengyao, who was a top beauty in the entire Life Star. It seemed that he would only take her back as a servant, one that he didn't like. No matter what, in this world where people could change their appearance at will, there was no such thing as absolute ugliness. Everyone had a beautiful appearance. The only difference was their aura. The other 9th grade divine generals were in low spirits. To come here, they had paid a big price. Although they had encountered a similar treatment in Heaven Road City, it couldn't be compared to the current situation. The God Clan status wasn't even comparable to the battle beasts. Haha, I guess that you guys with bad intentions were spouting nonsense here. However, at this moment, a loud laugh arose from a distance. As the laughter subsided, a figure appeared out of nowhere. He was covered in a black robe, so they couldn't see his face. That black robe was special as it could block spiritual senses. However, they were sure that the other was a real God Clan expert. Don't listen to the nonsense of these idiots. This place was built by the heavenly gods. It's our testing ground. These idiots are our opponents. What **T highly intelligent life forms? They're just for us to practice with. Of course, it's just a little bit more difficult. The shadowy existence, shrouded in a black robe, said, "They do have a restraining effect on us, but so what? We can't defeat Wang Yiping. What about Wang Yiping and Wang Yiping?" While talking, the other released his aura. Surprisingly, he had the competence of Wang Yiping. After releasing his aura, the other said coldly, "With such a realm, can't you kill those rank 1 idiots?" "We'll know if we can kill them or not after we try." Cold light shot out from Mycelian's eyes. A strong light flashed in front of him. The giant tiger appeared again. Boom! The giant tiger released a strong aura. Although it only had the competence of Wang Yiping, it wasn't weaker than Wang Yiping. "Bastard, go die!" Wang Yiping shouted. Divine light flashed on his body as he flew toward the giant tiger. While moving forward, he quickly made hand seals. A light ball with divine light twirling around it appeared. It was as dazzling as the sun with a destructive aura, falling on the giant tiger. Boom! There was a rumble in the sky as a powerful shockwave swept over. Many 9th grade divine generals were sent flying by this energy. Zi Qin clearly noticed that when Wang Sanpin's attacks landed on the giant tiger, there seemed to be the power of the rules that appeared, and his powerful attacks were constantly weakened. At the moment of contact, the giant tiger's body was sent flying. He was only sent flying, and there were no other injuries. That was all. "Look, that's all they amount to." Wang Sanpin coldly snorted and said, "In front of absolute power, everything is nothing. What you need to do is to immediately disperse or form your own faction. Then, continue to grow until you can fight against these idiots. When you have the ability, there is no harm in trying these women who consider themselves to be higher life forms. They are extremely lustrous and can make people drool. Yes, I am Netherworld, and I specialize in killing these self-righteous idiots. If you have the ability, you can also join us." After the self-proclaimed Netherworld King finished speaking, he turned around and left at a very fast speed. "Do you think you can escape?" A sneer appeared at the corner of Mycelian's mouth, and the giant tiger from before attacked again. At the same time, several figures appeared in other directions. "Damn it, How dare you scheme against me? Wang Sanpin cursed angrily, and then, without hesitation, he coughed up blood. He stretched out his hand and drew in the air, and his blood merged into the pattern. The next moment, the pattern burst out with a strong light and disappeared with his body. When he disappeared, everyone could sense that his aura had become very weak. It was obvious that he had used a secret method to escape, although the arrival of the other party proved that the divine race was not necessarily inferior to the natives here. Seeing the other party directly flee made them very depressed, especially when they found out that the people who came were only Wang Yiping. Their mood became even more depressed. Let's go! Zichen watched Wang Sanpin leave, then turned around and walked in the opposite direction. Su Mengyao and the others followed behind him. At this moment, it was inevitable that everyone would feel disappointed. No one agreed to Mycelian's request. Before coming here, the divine generals here, whether male or female, were all high and mighty existences. Even in Heavenly Road City, although they would obey orders, it was also because of benefits. Now, they were being used as tools for reproduction. This was something they could not accept, no matter what. Mycelian stood in the air, smiling as he watched everyone disperse. There was no other emotion in his eyes except for ridicule. In his eyes, these people were no different from slaves. How could he be angry because he lost some slaves? I don't believe this world is like this. The silence was broken by Roy. He looked at Yi Qian and said, "Before coming, did Lord Sky God tell you anything?" Yi Qian shook her head and said, "Before we came in, Father had already left. He just had someone bring me a teleportation token." Roy did not feel the slightest bit depressed. Instead, he smiled and said, "That's right." The others looked at Roy, not understanding why it was right. I believe everyone can see how Sky God treats the Divine Daughter. But Sky God still let the Divine Daughter come here without any explanation. Doesn't this explain the problem? Roy said, "This means that there must be a fortuitous encounter here. It's definitely not like what those people said." Everyone thought about it carefully and felt that it made sense. Zichen also said, "I also believe that there might be secrets in this world that we don't know. Of course, even if there isn't, we're not afraid." In their team, Zichen was not the only one who could break through the defenses of the Aboriginals. Su Mingyao's spirit devouring king grass could do the same. Therefore, even though they were both first-grade kings, whether it was Kong Shua at the front or me Kalian here, he was not afraid of either of them. Most importantly, Zichen could open his world here, so no one could threaten them. Where do we go now? After everyone's mood recovered slightly, they looked at Zichen again. Clearly, this had become a habit. When they had no idea, they would ask for Zichen's opinion. "Let's go and see." Zichen, who also had no way out, could only say so. "Our Senma faction invites you to join." At this moment, a divine general named Wang Yiping appeared in front of them. He looked at Zichen's group and said, Chapter 3014. Standing in front of him was a Wang Yiping from the Divine Clan. He claimed that he was from the Sema faction and invited them to join him. Before Zichen could reply, more Divine Clans came to invite them. They were all Wang Yiping's level. There were 5 or 6 factions in total. Zichen looked around and saw that when the Wang Yiping was recruiting the 9th grade Divine Generals, he just waved his hand and said, "Follow me." The 9th grade Divine Generals had no choice. Compared to them, Zichen and the other Wang Yiping were treated much better. The others looked at Zichen. Zichen said, "Let's go with the Senma faction then." The Wang Yiping nodded and said, "My name is Bouvier." Zichen, the other Wang Yiping scattered. They looked disappointed, but not too disappointed. It was as if losing a few dozen Wang Yiping was not a big deal to them. The Senma faction had recruited enough 9th grade Divine Generals. The huge group started to return to their base. Bouvier explained, "The layout of this place is similar to the path of heaven of the divine kings, but the environment is harsher." Zi-Chun thought back to the path of heaven of the divine kings. Many divine generals formed factions in the periphery to survive against the heavenly beasts. They could not even stay in the nearest city for long. If this place was similar to that place, then the first thing everyone had to do was to survive. "Is there anything in this world that can increase one's strength?" Zi-Chun asked. Obviously, this was the key to their arrival. "The superm crystal in the mine." Bouvier explained, "There are two types of superm crystal. The first type is extracted from impure ores and fused together. This is a synthetic superm crystal. Its grade is the lowest. The second type was the natural superm crystal. This type of superm crystal did not need to be artificially synthesized. It had its own set of laws, and its grade was very high, but it was also extremely rare. When we are mining, we will sometimes encounter a superm crystal that has gained intelligence. We call it a soul essence. When you encounter this kind of superm crystal, the best way is to run away. Otherwise, you will definitely die." Zi-Chun and the others were shocked. They didn't expect that mining here would be life-threatening. "What do we need to do?" "Mining?" Zi-Chun asked. Bouvier shook his head and said, "Normally it is the god generals who are new here to mine, while Wang Yiping usually works together to hunt king-grade heavenly beasts." "Will it be dangerous?" Zi-Chun asked. "Death is everywhere. Some are from heavenly beasts, some are from the terrain. In any case, there are all kinds of dangers." Bouvier looked up at the sky and said, "It is said that this god king's domain has a few levels, and we are at the lowest level. We also have the most people. Every once in a while, there will be a large number of god generals coming here. Therefore, although there are always people dying here, there will always be new people to replace them. It is said that the resources of the entire god king's domain are provided by the resources of this level." Zi-Chun said doubtfully, "The gate to heaven's path in our area has not been opened for a long time. Moreover, every time it opens, not many people come." Bouvier turned his head to look at Zi-Chun and said, "There is more than one god king's path to heaven." "What?" When Zi-Chun heard this, his expression changed. The others were also shocked. "The god king's domain is at the core, and the outer area is the god king's path to heaven. As for how many paths can reach here, no one knows. However, according to what I know, there are more than 8 god kings' path to heaven that can reach here." This news was undoubtedly shocking. According to Wei Li, many experts on the ranking of generals had gathered in Heaven's Path City at that time, and there were even a few number 1. Could it be that it was just a coincidence that these people gathered together? Were there more experts on other heaven's paths? Zi-Chun looked at Roy, and Roy shook his head, indicating that he did not know about this. The group entered a huge mountain range in a grandiose manner. Similar to the layout of the God King's path to heaven, there was little vegetation here. The mountains were towering and steep, and it was desolate and silent. During this time, they would occasionally see some god generals wandering in the mountains and knocking on some areas. These 9th grade god generals can't escape the fate of mining. Some of them will awaken some kind of talent and find superm crystal veins. At that time, there will be huge rewards. The lives of 9th grade god generals can be in danger at any time, so the most important thing for them is to break through to Wang Yiping. They soon arrived at Senma's headquarters. There were almost no decent buildings here, and there were caves carved out of the mountains. Bouvier explained, "Building here is extravagant because it requires a lot of resources to build. Ordinary buildings are useless because if heavenly beasts attack, those ordinary buildings won't be able to withstand a single blow. I'll take you to the hunting team. All the creatures in this world have a restraining effect on us, including those heavenly beasts. Usually, a Wang Yiping heavenly beast requires a group of god kings of the same level to kill it." Zi-Chun and the others were taken to the hunting team by Bouvier. During this time, Everyone received a token, indicating that they had become a member of the hunting team. I can't believe that the gathering place of 60% of the god kings in the god realm is like this. And these ninth grade god generals gave up the glory and wealth of the god realm to come here to be miners of the lowest level. I don't know if this is considered noble. Monk looked at the group of god generals who were being scolded and sighed from the bottom of his heart. At this moment, Zi Chen was also at a loss. He thought that after becoming a god king, he would be able to become the absolute fighting force of the life star. However, he didn't expect that in the god king's celestial domain, he would be the lowest existence. Under such circumstances, survival was a problem. How could he go back? On the same day, some god generals left because they didn't want to be miners. No one asked them to stay. On the same day, a team that went out to hunt heavenly beasts returned. During this time, there were many injured people. However, their result was only a Wang Yiping heavenly beast, just like the heavenly beast that was killed by Kong Mo not long ago. However, they paid a huge price to kill it. What should we do? At this moment, everyone was helpless. It was as if they had suddenly lost their goal and direction. Zichen said, "Let's wait and see. Let's get familiar with this place first." On the same day, Zichen asked the team leader where the nearest city was and how to get there. The team leader's answer made Zichen's heart sink to the bottom. "I don't know where the nearest city is. After coming here, I haven't been to a city." He had been here for tens of thousands of years and was already a second-grade king. Chapter 30:15. Wei Li was also in the Sema faction. This was something that Zichen did not expect. He was very surprised to see Wei Li. At the same time, he was very happy. It was like meeting an old friend in a foreign land. When Wei Li saw Zichen, he smiled and said, "When I saw you guys join this faction, I took the initiative to come here. Speaking of which, I followed you here." Zichen said, "What did you find out?" Wei Li came here to find him because he had found something. Wei Li smiled bitterly and said, "All the divine clan members here are the servants of the natives. We are all working for the natives." Oh, Zichen was very surprised. Some people mine here, and some hunt king, grade, heavenly beasts. After a certain amount is gathered, the natives will come here and take it away. Of course, before they will leave behind some superm crystal as a reward for everyone. Wei Li sighed and said, "It is said that this situation has been going on for many years. If you want to get rid of this situation, you have to break through as soon as possible and become a third-grade king. This is because once you become a third-grade king, it will not be so difficult to deal with Wang Yiping's heavenly beasts. At the same time, you will have the strength to fight against the Wang Yiping natives. Of course, it is only a fight. It is impossible to kill them unless it is the netherworld." "What is the netherworld?" Zichen asked curiously. He had seen the netherworld a few days ago. It seemed that the netherworld had come to give them confidence, but the effect was not ideal. The netherworld is a faction. They have very few people, but those who can join them are all experts. They can fight or kill a Wang Yiping one-on-one. It is said that to join the netherworld, the first requirement is to kill a Wang Yiping native. Wei Li said, "Among all the divine clan members here, the only one who is not controlled by the natives is the netherworld. They rely on plundering for their cultivation resources." Zichen nodded. He did not expect the netherworld to be such an existence. Wei Li continued, "As long as you are strong enough, you have the possibility of becoming a member of the netherworld. I think you can do it. Also, your friend might be able to do it too." The friend that Wei Li mentioned was obviously Su Mengyao. Then, Wei Li's expression turned serious. "I'm here to tell you this. If you plan to stay here, then don't reveal that you have the strength of the netherworld, because the natives' attitude towards the netherworld is to kill them without hesitation, especially the spirit devouring grass. That thing is like the nemesis of all Aborigines. They can't let it live or grow. Zi-Chin looked at Wei-Li. Wei-Li said, "With your strength, it might be better for you to develop on your own. There's no need to join a team. Of course, if you want to get more resources, you have to snatch them like the Netherworld because you can't reach the city and can't go to the exchange to get the harvest." Then Wei-Li lowered his voice and said, "Among the people who came this time, many know that you have the spirit devouring grass. If this news spreads and more people know, you may be in danger." Looking at Zi-Chun, who was deep in thought, Wei-Li laughed at himself and said, "Let's not talk about it anymore. I still have to go mining." The former number 1 on the general ranking board, the god general with the highest status in the god world, is actually treated like this in the God King heavenly region. Even mining is life-threatening. However, opportunities come with danger. The speed of breaking through is faster here. Wei-Li left. Zi-Chun frowned and pondered, considering if he should leave. Actually, after Wei-Li told him all this, he had already made up his mind to leave. He was just thinking about how to not attract attention. At this moment, someone came to inform them that the team was about to leave. They were the 23rd team in the Senma faction. Wang Yiping had more than 200 people. Other than the team leader, who was Wang Yiping, the rest were all Wang Yiping. With so many god kings, it would be amazing if they were in the god world. Unfortunately, in this place, many Wang Yiping could only deal with one Wang Yiping's heavenly beast. Obviously, these Wang Yiping's heavenly beasts all had the combat power to defeat those of the same level. They could only rely on their advantage in numbers. Monk, Demon Ape, and the others in the team were very excited. They had only seen heavenly beasts once when they came here. At that time, they were easily killed by Kong Mo obviously. They wanted to see their own combat power. Why is there a level 9 general in the team? During this time, Su Mengyao saw that other than Wang Yiping, there were more than 10 level 9 divine generals in the team. Zi-Chin could not understand this. Could it be that the combat power of these level 9 divine generals was comparable to Wang Yiping? The team of more than 200 people flew for 2 days. During this time, they did not leave the mountains. However, there was no one coming to mine. When they came to a relatively open area, the team leader of Wang Yiping waved his hand. Suddenly, a scream came from the crowd. It was a level 9 divine general who had been stabbed. Beside him, an indifferent Wang Yiping began to pour some liquid on his wound. In the next moment, Wang Yiping kicked the divine general away. The level 9 divine general fell to the open area in front of them. He rolled on the ground and screamed. When Zi-Chen and the others saw this scene, they looked at each other in dismay. When they looked back again, they saw that the grade 9 divine generals were grieving for the loss of their own kind. At the same time, they also felt a sense of relief. Now that they finally understood the purpose of these level 9 divine generals, they felt nothing other than shock. How could this be? Monk looked at the level 9 divine general who had fallen to the ground in front of him. He was in disbelief. A level 9 divine general was used as bait here. At this moment, the team leader of Wang Yiping waved his hand. The god kings immediately disappeared into the void. In the blink of an eye, everyone disappeared, including Zi-Chin and the others. In an instant, there was no one around. Only the level 9 divine general screams could be heard. There seemed to be something wrong with the liquid that was poured on his wound. His wound could not heal and blood kept flowing out. In addition, there was a unique smell. "We'll leave in a while," Zi-Chin, who was hiding, said in a low voice. The others did not object. Although the Shen clan was not necessarily their friend in the realm of the gods, they could not bear to see these people use a level 9 divine general as bait. Not long after, another group of heavenly beasts flew towards them. 2 of them in total. Zi-Chen heard the sound of a sigh. Obviously, this team could only deal with 1 heavenly beast at the moment. They could not deal with 2 heavenly beasts this time. They could only wait for the next time. As for the level 9 bait, it was obviously a waste. Seeing this, Zichen said, "Let's go." The others nodded. The two heavenly beasts swooped down from above and bit at the level 9 divine general on the ground. Whoosh! An attack fell from the sky and landed on one of the heavenly beasts. Chapter 30:16. Naturally, they were no match for two heavenly beasts. In the past, they would not have made a move. The sudden attack caused everyone's expression to change. Under such circumstances, such an action was simply courting death. In their line of sight, they saw a group appear. There were over 20 of them. They recognized them as the newcomers. They were Wang Yiping, and it was their first time seeing them. They did not wait for the captain's voice transmission. They knew that these people were acting on their own, so they sneered. In a situation where they did not appear, these Wang Yiping who took the initiative to provoke them would die. One of the heavenly beasts was attacked, and then it raised its head. The other one also stopped in front of them. The natives compared these heavenly beasts to intelligent beings, more advanced than the divine generals who came here. Although it was not comprehensive, it was still reasonable. The two of them gave up on the rank 9 on the ground and directly charged toward Zichen and the others. The rank 9, who was already in despair, was stunned when he saw this scene. He even forgot to scream. Zichen's body flashed with light. At the same time as the armor appeared, the armored territory appeared as well. His body collided with the heavenly beast. Accompanied by a huge energy shock, he and the heavenly beast retreated. Such a scene caused the other divine kings to gasp. Among those of the same level, who would dare to attack a heavenly beast directly, moreover, to be evenly matched with a heavenly beast? Even the captain of the king, rank 2, did not dare to do so. Get lost! At the same time, Monk also rushed forward. He did not use the light shield. Instead, he propped up the armor territory and collided with the second heavenly beast. Energy shock, a visible ripple spread out, and Monk was repelled. To the others, this scene was the most normal. However, what was also abnormal was that Monk was not injured. "You guys go first." Zichen shouted and went forward again. He clenched his fist, and the yin-yang light surrounded his body as he attacked the heavenly beast. In the energy shock, the heavenly beast was repelled by him. Although he did not hurt the heavenly beast at all, to be able to repel it was already very impressive in the eyes of the divine kings who were hiding in the dark. The others left the battlefield and flew into the distance. The second heavenly beast roared, and a ripple of sound waves spread out. It began to pursue. Shua! Zichen activated his 9 lightning strikes, instantly appearing in front of the second heavenly beast. With a powerful blow, the heavenly beast was sent flying. The Wang Yiping, who were hiding in the dark, were shocked when they saw this. Wang Yiping looked at the captain beside him and asked, "Captain, should we make a move?" The leader of the second grade king class shook his head. At this moment, there was also shock in his eyes. The other party was able to deal with a heavenly beast at this time. Once he broke through to the second grade king class, he might be able to kill a heavenly beast and become a member of the netherworld. Unfortunately, it was impossible for such a person to remain in their team. Even if he wanted to stay, they didn't have the guts to do so. The captain of Wang 2 ranks let out a sigh. If such a strong person stayed in the team, it would also be a disaster for them. The natives did not like the appearance of experts in the god race. They only needed the ordinary god kings and a steady supply of resources. Under the gaze of the captain, the others had already left the battlefield. The only one left was Wang Yiping, relying on his speed to fight against the 2 king-grade heavenly beasts. Looking at the other party's relaxed look, the captain felt that the other party must have other tricks up his sleeve. He lowered his head and looked at the 9th grade king who was covered in blood. Perhaps this was the reason why the other party left. Shua! Zichen left under the gaze of the god kings. He did not leave the 2 king grade heavenly beasts behind. Instead, he led them away together. The shocked, godly kings heaved a sigh of relief. "Captain." Looking at them leaving, a person beside him asked, "Go." The captain of Wang, two ranks, nodded. The monk and the others were in the front, while Zichen was alone behind them. The two king-grade heavenly beasts were chasing after them. During this time, the roars of the beasts were incessant. A strong aura was surging behind them. After about 15 minutes, the monk and the others stopped first. The monk turned around and a light shield appeared in his hand. He flew forward. He activated the light shield to the limit and collided with a king-grade heavenly beast. With a roar of energy, the king-grade heavenly beast was sent flying. Die. At the same time, Zichen turned around and unsheathed the long saber in his hand. He slashed at the beast. This slash was a slash that split the air. There were black arcs around the blade. Poof! The slash landed on the heavenly beast and broke its defense. Blood splattered, and the heavenly beast roared in pain. He did not kill the heavenly beast with this slash. He only left a wound on it. When he was at the God King's path of heaven, he was able to kill a 9th grade aborigine when he was only at the 8th grade. He did not expect that he would not be able to kill a king-grade heavenly beast of the same level here. Just as his slash landed on the beast, Zichen clearly felt an inexplicable power appearing on the heavenly beast. It was constantly consuming his attack. Shwa! After one slash, another slash came. Zichen did not stop moving. Bang! The saber light was shattered. There was a bloody wound on the heavenly beast's claw. Su Mengyao wanted to go forward, but Zichen shook his head and refused. His figure flashed again and disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he was beside the heavenly beast. Slash! He shouted loudly. The yin-yang light on his long saber shone. At the same time, a surge of power belonging to the lightning physique was quietly integrated into the long saber. However, this surge of power was covered by the yin-yang energy. No one could see it. Poof! Blood spurted out. This time, the wound on the heavenly beast was even deeper. Indeed, the lightning physique was stronger. The heavenly beast was in pain. It turned around, and its sharp claws slashed through the void. At the same time, dozens of fire snakes shot out from its body. These fire snakes were very hot. Zichen's battle armor domain became unstable and could break at any time. The sharp claws pierced through his body. It was just an afterimage. His real body appeared on the other side. When he appeared, his battle armor domain had already been broken. He slashed down with his saber. This time, the heavenly beast was decapitated. It fell to the ground and died. When the other heavenly beast saw this, it turned around and ran. It was known as an intelligent creature. However, it felt threatened by Zichen. Zichen did not chase after it. At this moment, he was very weak. After collecting the corpses on the ground, he hurriedly left with the others. After everyone left, a figure appeared. His face was clearly filled with shock. He didn't stop and immediately turned around to leave. How was it? The 2nd grade king realm leader looked at the returning deity king and asked. 2 king realm heavenly beasts. One died and the other escaped. Thinking back to the previous battle, the deity king was still shocked. The leader's expression changed. He said, "So it was like that." Wang Yiping continued. Not everyone joined forces. Only that one person used 4 sabers to kill a heavenly beast. The others did not make a move. From my observation, he should have noticed me and did not use his full strength. He was still holding back. Chapter 30:17. Hearing Wang Yiping's words, the leader was shocked. If a person could deal with a heavenly beast alone and still hold back, wouldn't that make him the same as the aboriginals? How was that possible? Once Yiming found out, he would definitely try to rope him in. Similarly, if the other aboriginals found out, they would definitely try to kill him. Don't tell anyone about this unless you have no other choice, the leader ordered with a solemn expression. Yes. The deity king nodded. After leaving the area, Zi-Chen's pale face returned to normal. He knew that someone was secretly following them, so he deliberately held back his strength. If he used his full strength, he believed that it would be easy for him to deal with a king-grade heavenly beast. At the same time, he could feel the strength of a king-grade heavenly beast. The heavenly beasts here are indeed strange. They seem to be restraining us like the aboriginals, Zi-Chen said in a deep voice as they moved forward. It's not normal for such a situation to occur in a training world. Luo, he said, perhaps there are secrets in this world that we haven't discovered yet. The others nodded. Since this was a training world, there would naturally be tests. Even if they were suppressed, they should have ways to resist. Take the Divine King's heavenly path as an example. The aboriginals would suppress the divine generals because, if they couldn't, the divine generals might turn around and enslave them. Even if they could suppress the divine generals, they were not invincible. The spirit devouring grass could suppress the aboriginals. In the Divine King's heavenly path, the relationship between the aboriginals and the divine generals was more of a cooperative relationship. However, in this world, the relationship between the divine generals and the aboriginals was no longer a cooperative relationship. It was purely a master-servant relationship, or even a master-slave relationship. Furthermore, they had never heard of anything that could suppress the divine generals. It was not easy to have Yuming, but that was only a level 3 heavenly beast that could fight against a level 1 heavenly beast. If this was a world created by the heavenly gods, then where did the aboriginals' lives come from? It was impossible for the heavenly gods to create lives stronger than the God Clan, right? They had all kinds of doubts in their hearts, but they had no way to find out the truth. This time, without waiting for the others to ask, Zi-Chen said, "Let's get out of the mountains first." He didn't know when the secret of the spirit devouring grass would be exposed. Under such circumstances, it was natural to leave the Senma faction. As the group moved forward, they encountered another king, grade, heavenly beast. Looking at the heavenly beast, Tyrant said, "I'll deal with it." The monk rushed forward with the light shield in his hand, while the rest of the people stood in the distance and watched quietly. After a single clash, the monk was sent flying. While his body was flying backward, a tall Buddha shadow appeared behind the monk. A palm print surrounded by golden light descended from the sky. Boom! The palm print landed on the heavenly beast and exploded, turning into a shockwave that scattered in all directions. The heavenly beast rushed out from the violent energy and went straight for the monk. One man and one beast fought in midair, showing that they were evenly matched. However, this kind of tie was only limited to the fact that the heavenly beast couldn't kill the monk. From the beginning of the battle, Tyrant was at an absolute disadvantage. If it wasn't for the light shield, he would have been completely defeated. Whenever Tyrant's attack landed on the heavenly beasts, it would be blocked by a mysterious energy. He couldn't hurt them at all. "Monk, put away your light shield and put up your defense," said Zi-Chen, who was watching the battle. Tyrant hesitated for a moment before dispelling the light shield. At the same time, he activated all his defenses and smashed the demon, subduing pestle in his hand towards the heavenly beast. Pung! With a loud vibration, the demon subduing pestle flew out of Tyrant's hand. At the same time, Tyrant's body was sent flying backward. The light on his armor was distorted. As expected, after dispelling his strongest defense, Tyrant was no match for the heavenly beast. In the next moment, the heavenly beast rushed forward. Along with the explosion of energy, the top-notch general armor territory was shattered. In just 2 strikes, the others' expressions changed as they shook their heads. Obviously, no one could deal with the heavenly beast under such circumstances, even if they joined forces. Even with Tyrant's powerful defense, he couldn't withstand a single blow, let alone them. Swoosh! In front of Su Mengyao, a green light flashed, and the spirit-devouring king grass flew out. Its branches and leaves continued to extend like a snake, quickly wrapping around the heavenly beast. The heavenly beast roared as its powerful aura surged. Poof! The tip of the branches and leaves pierced through the heavenly beast's body and began to devour its vitality. The heavenly beast roared in pain. Its eyes were filled with fear as its vitality drained away. In everyone's perception, the heavenly beast, which was full of vitality, immediately became sluggish. While they were shocked, they also felt relieved. At least the spirit-devouring king grass was not afraid of these heavenly beasts. The heavenly beast's aura quickly became sluggish until it died with a final scream. "Let's go!" This time, everyone had witnessed the power of the heavenly beast. In the team, other than Zi-Chin and the spirit-devouring king grass, no one else was a match for the heavenly beast. As they moved forward, everyone could not help but feel depressed. "As long as we continue to become stronger, these heavenly beasts are nothing," Zi-Chin said as he looked at the dejected crowd. That being said, this place was not like the Divine King's Path of Empyrean. They were all level 9 Divine Generals when they reached the Divine King's Path of Empyrean. Although level 9 was equivalent to a realm, it was not a big realm. It was just a matter of physical strength. However, it was different now. Everyone had to start breaking through, from Wang Yiping. Obviously, this speed would not be fast. In the absence of resources, it could be said to be extremely slow. Swoosh! The long saber was unsheathed and lightning flashed. The blade slashed through the body of a heavenly beast and decapitated it. This was the biggest surprise for everyone at the moment. Zi-Chin could still kill a heavenly beast of the same level instantly. However, Zi-Chin was not happy at all. This was because he mainly relied on the power of his thunder physique. The yin-yang energy was ineffective and consumed a lot of his energy. It could even be said that if it was not for his special thunder physique, he would not have any advantage here. Everything seemed to return to the way it was in the Divine King's Path of Empyrean. Zi-Chin was in charge of killing the heavenly beasts, while everyone else was in charge of refining and improving their realm. However, this speed was too slow. As for the Supreme Crystal, they did not even have a single piece at the moment. The only thing Zi-Chin could do every day was to kill as many heavenly beasts as possible. A team of natives entered the Senma faction. There were a total of 5 of them. They were here to take out the resources they had mined. There were 2 leaders in the Senma faction. They were Sun En and Kaima. Both of them were level 2 King Realm. At this moment, the 2 of them stood respectfully at the side and took out the resources that they had prepared earlier. The leader of the natives gave the 2 of them a piece of Supreme Crystal and said calmly, "Have there been any other strange occurrences recently?" "A team left us. It's said that they have the ability to kill heavenly beasts," Senen said. "Oh, how many of them? What's their realm?" The natives asked. "There are more than 20 of them. All of them are Wang Yiping. According to the news, one of them can kill a team of Wang Yiping's heavenly beasts alone." Chapter 3018. Sun En told him what he had heard. The native's expression became more and more unsightly. "Is this true?" he asked in a low voice, his expression indescribably solemn. "Someone saw it with their own eyes, so it can't be false," Sun En said hesitantly. "Apart from that, I also heard another piece of news. It is said that they have a spirit devouring grass." "What's a spirit devouring grass?" The native was startled. "It's said to be a plant that can break through the craftsman race's domain on the Divine King's Path of Heaven." Senen told him what he had heard. The native's expression changed again. If such a plant really existed, it would be a disaster for them. Just like how the god race was restrained by them, they would also be restrained by that plant. "When did they leave? Which direction did they leave in?" The native asked. "They've been gone for half a month." The native immediately rushed out of his room, spread the news, and flew into the distance. Senma faction did not have many buildings, so Sun En naturally had one. "Is this okay?" Hearing the native shouts, Kamal looked at Sun In and said, "That person might be our hope." "I don't know if it's hope or not. I only know that I'm not far from rank 3. As long as the current situation is maintained, I'll eventually be able to break through. At that time, everything will naturally improve for me," Sun En said calmly. "As for the lives of others, what does that have to do with me?" Kaima shook his head and did not say anything else. After being oppressed for so long, no one thought of resisting anymore. After getting used to the oppression, they would develop all sorts of negative thoughts. For example, they would not allow others to be stronger than them, let alone live better than them. "Boral, is what you said true?" The 5 indigenous people walked together, and one of them who was wearing armor asked. "Of course it's true," Boral said. "Did you forget what Mycelian told us to pay attention to when we came here?" The native named Bor asked. "No matter what, we have to kill these people this time." The others nodded in agreement as they recalled Mycelian's instructions. The native named Bor said, "These people who call themselves the God Race are indeed not simple. They have a lot of variables. Back then, our ancestors destroyed their hope of rising to power. Who would have thought that the netherworld would appear among them? Although it is still restrained by us, it is still a threat to us. Who would have thought that this time there would be an even more powerful heavenly beast, a heavenly beast at Wang, Ipin? Wouldn't that be a threat to us as well? Moreover, this is under the condition that he has lost all hope of rising up. If the news is true, then this person must be killed. If he is allowed to continue growing, then it will be troublesome," that native from before said. "Indeed, he cannot be allowed to live. If by any chance he obtains the hope of rising again, at that time our situation will become much more troublesome," Bor said. "I don't think that's possible. Back then, the great ancestors had already destroyed all hopes of this world's rise. There are too many variables. We have to be on our guard." "Have you sent a message to the city?" Bor asked. "We've already sent the message," the person said. "All right, send us our location at all times. We can't make any mistakes this time. Killing heavenly beasts, refining resources, and moving forward aimlessly." This was what Zi Chen and the others were doing. They had already walked out of the endless mountain range, but they did not know where to go. "Why don't we learn from the netherworld and snatch resources?" The monk at the side said. The others were silent. They had never been so unconfident. After coming to this world, they could not defeat anyone. Even if they wanted to snatch, they did not have the strength to do so. As for breaking through to the next realm, according to the current speed, it would take at least 10,000 years. 10,000 years was a long time that could not be any longer. The silence of the surrounding people made the monk realize that this method would not work at all. Then he said, "Why don't we find another deep mountain and go mining?" Mining was easier said than done. First, they had to find the ore vein. However, this suggestion was obviously much better than snatching. Moreover, everyone could be considered to be doing something within their capabilities. Therefore, they were somewhat moved. Zi Chun turned around and looked at these people, especially Su Mingyao and the rest. They were all first-class beauties, and Yi Qian and Li Ai were the daughters of the gods. Asking them to go mining? He smiled and said, "Don't be so pessimistic. Let's keep moving forward. When we find other forces, we can trade with them. We have the materials and they have the superm crystal. As long as the price is reasonable, they should not refuse." As they continued to move forward, Zi Chan would kill any heavenly beasts he saw. The spirit-devouring king grass would also help. They moved forward like this for more than half a month. Along the way, they did not encounter too much danger. The heavenly beasts they encountered along the way were all turned into corpses. They collected a lot of materials. The most they encountered was 5 heavenly beasts. For Zichin, it was not a problem. He killed all of them. On a plain, a rootless energy flame was burning. Heavenly beast meat was being roasted above the flame. At first, everyone was in low spirits, but they gradually recovered. No matter how difficult the situation was, they had to face it calmly. Compared to the deity clan here, their situation was much better. They had much more freedom. On the ground, the soil was rolling. A black creature suddenly appeared. It was a black ant about 10 feet long. After it appeared, it was heading towards them. Zichen noticed this scene. He was surprised. He got up and rushed forward. Exclamations came from behind. In all directions, there were many more black ants. Their aura was no weaker than Wang Yiping's heavenly beasts. "Get lost!" Tyrant shouted angrily. He rushed forward with the light shield in his hand. With a bang, a black ant was knocked away by him. However, in the next moment, more ants appeared from the ground and drowned Tyrant in an instant. Swoosh! 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 The others immediately leaped into the air. Tyrant had the protection of the light shield, so there was no need to be afraid. However, they could not. Moreover, these ants were too fast. Just as everyone soared into the air, wings grew out of the black ants' backs, and they soared into the air as well. Flying in the air, their speed was even faster. None of them had the strength to deal with the heavenly beasts. Zichen immediately opened the world and put everyone away. At the same time he landed. With a powerful shock wave, the surrounding ants were all knocked away. Tyrant's figure appeared. Although the attack did not break, Tyrant was still in a sorry state. Swoosh! His figure disappeared and entered Zichen's world. The black ants lost their target and immediately charged towards Zichen. There were too many black ants around. Zichen used the world to teleport away. Swoosh! When he reappeared, he was already thousands of miles away. The ants had disappeared. Chapter 3019. Seeing the ruins in front of him, Zichen's expression changed slightly. A strong smell of blood came from afar. These ruins had just appeared not long ago and were not ancient ruins. Puzzled, he flew towards the ruins. There were dilapidated buildings in the ruins, and there were some dilapidated caves nearby. Dried blood could be seen everywhere. With a flash of light, the others appeared. Everyone was stunned when they saw the ruins. After taking in everything around, Zichen said, "It should be a force, but it has been destroyed." Seeing the messy traces on the ground, Su Mengyao said, "Look at these traces. They're very similar to the black ants we encountered before. Did they do it?" Roy said, "It's very possible. It must be them." Zichen had already felt the speed of those black ants earlier. Only they had the strength to destroy a force because even he found it troublesome at that time. If not for his teleportation ability, he would not have been able to kill his way out. Most importantly, when those ants attacked them, they surrounded them. Clearly, they were intelligent beings. In addition, there was an endless number of them. If they really wanted to deal with a force, no one would be able to escape. I found this. In a crack in the ground, the monk found a divine ring. The divine ring was stained with blood and was the only thing left here. When they opened the divine ring, they found some materials from the divine king's path of heaven. In addition, there were some crystals that they had never seen before. The crystals emitted a bright light and had the pressure of a divine king. Clearly, this should be the so-called Supreme Crystal. There are not many Supreme Crystals, only a dozen or so. Each Supreme Crystal had the power of laws flowing on it, and it was shining brightly. It seems that danger is everywhere here. Zichen looked at the ruins and said in a deep voice, "We have to be careful next." Everyone's mood became heavy. If Zichen did not have the world this time, everyone would probably be in danger. This world was full of dangers for them. A few days later, Zichen suddenly felt an aura coming from the horizon. After releasing his spiritual senses, his expression changed. "What's wrong?" The others noticed Zichen's strange behavior and looked at him in surprise. "Someone's coming," Zichen said. "Human." Everyone was stunned at first, but they soon understood what Zichen meant. To be able to make Zi Chen's expression change, it was obvious that this person was not a Protoss, but a native. It shouldn't be a coincidence that they met the Aboriginals at this time. As the auras neared, everyone could sense that there were 5 of them. This was not a good thing. After sensing the number of people and their auras, Zi Chen said, "It seems that I have found a shortcut to breaking through." Everyone understood the meaning behind Zi Chen's words. Compared to their aimless search for opportunities, this was indeed a shortcut. 5 figures appeared in front of the crowd. They were the 5 people who had gone to the Senma faction. The leader, Frank, glanced at Zi Chen's team and said indifferently, "Kill all the men. Leave the women alive." Zi Chen smiled. A light flashed behind him, and everyone disappeared. Seeing the others disappear beside Zi Chen, Frank's expression did not change. He said indifferently, "Then let's kill him first." A person walked out from the front. A light appeared in front of him. It was a complicated pattern that looked like a spiritual array. A soul beast appeared from it. Obviously, this person was from the Soul clan. After the spirit beast appeared, it let out a roar and charged toward Zi Chen. Zi Chen held his saber. The yin-yang light flowed on his body, and he instantly unsheathed his saber. A yin-yang saber light flew forward and slashed at the soul beast. Buzz! A special light wave appeared on the surface of the soul beast's body. After the yin-yang saber light met the light wave, it constantly dissipated. In the next moment, the yin-yang saber light exploded. The soul beast rushed forward and clawed at Zi Chen. Zi Chen's figure flashed as he used speed. At this moment, an invisible power of law fell on him, affecting Zi Chen's speed. With a paw sound, Zi Chen's body flew back. A clear claw mark appeared on the armor that appeared on the surface of his body. Retreating far away, Zi Chen looked ahead in shock. This was the first time he fought against a native of this world. Not only was his defense countered, but he was also countered in a clash of strength. The others did not make a move. Instead, they stood aside and watched the show with folded arms. Looking at the mark on Zi Chen's armor, Frank snorted. There is indeed something different. The soul beast roared and charged at Zi Chen again. Its sharp claws cut through the void. This time, Zi Chen's perception was very clear. There was an indescribable power of the rules that fell on him, affecting his speed. Bang! He did not dodge in time and was sent flying again. The armor domain formed on the surface of his body shattered. A deeper crack appeared on the armor, and the armor was on the verge of being scrapped. He was shocked. Was this the method of the natives? It was simply a death restraint. There was only life and no death. It is indeed much stronger than those of the netherworld, but it can't resist this restraint. Beside Frank, a native said, although Zi Chen had not displayed the strength to fight against the soul beast, it was rare for him to be able to block 2 attacks and not die. The soul beast's attack fell again, but this time light appeared on Zi Chen's body. Lightning flashed and the heavenly thunder wings appeared. Whoosh! The moment the heavenly thunder wings appeared, the control of the law weakened slightly. Zi Chen quickly retreated, and the soul beast's attack missed. Frank's eyes flashed with surprise. The others were surprised. He actually dodged it. There was indeed something different. Whoosh! Whoosh! Immediately after, Zi Chen used the heavenly thunder wings to dodge. The power of the law that fell on him was restrained by the heavenly thunder wings, causing the restraint to weaken slightly. Zi Chen was able to smoothly display his speed. After several attacks, he knew that it was not that the attacks of the divine kings in this world were weaker, but that the indescribable restraint of the law. As long as the restraint of the law was suppressed, these natives were not much stronger than them. Khufu, stop playing. Let's end this quickly. Seeing the soul beast's attack miss again and again, Frank frowned and said, Okay, the battle is over. Let's go back to the city and relax. The native named Khufu laughed and formed a seal with both hands. Suddenly, a powerful aura was released from the soul beast. Countless rays of light flew out from its body, forming a domain that enveloped the surroundings. Zichen, who was shrouded in the light, felt the suppression of the law become stronger. The heavenly thunderwings also lost its effect at this moment. It was as if he had fallen into a swamp, and his body could not move at all. Roar! The soul beast let out a roar and rushed toward Zichen. As it approached, the pressure became stronger and stronger. A sense of crisis emerged in his heart. The natives watched this scene coldly, waiting for Zichen to be killed. Boom! Chapter 30:20. In the face of this pressure, even the heavenly thunderwings lost their effect. Under such circumstances, Zichen, who sensed the threat of death, naturally used his full strength. His full strength was his strongest lightning body, and countless lightning bolts erupted from his body. The light domain that flew out from the soul beast's body instantly shattered, and a violent aura appeared from Zichen's body. The powerful suppression of the laws was completely eliminated by the lightning body. Looking at the approaching soul beast, Zichen clenched his fist and attacked. Lightning surged on the surface of his fist. This was the pure power of the lightning body. Boom! The lightning fist landed on the soul beast's head, and a powerful force erupted. The soul beast's body was sent flying by Zichen's punch. The soul beast that flew out tumbled hundreds of feet away. The light on the surface of its body became very dim, and in the next moment its body disappeared like a phantom. Puff! In the distance, the native named Khufu's aura instantly weakened, and then he coughed up a mouthful of blood. The expressions of the other cold-looking existences immediately changed drastically. They were very shocked by this sudden change. At this moment, Zichen's body was flickering with lightning. This was the pure light of the lightning body, and he was like a thunder god. He held a long saber in his hand and said coldly, "You're relying on those laws. Without the protection of the laws, you're simply vulnerable." As soon as his voice fell, the thunder wings behind Zichen shook, and his figure disappeared. Seeing Zichen disappear, Frank's expression changed drastically, and he shouted, "Khufu! It's too late. Remember to remind me earlier next time." The cold voice belonging to Zichen sounded. He suddenly appeared beside Khufu, and his long saber was unsheathed again. Lightning flashed, and it was still the power of the lightning body. At this moment, Khufu's aura was very weak, and he couldn't defend against Zichen's attack at all. However, Zichen still used his full strength, and his expression was very solemn. His eyes and spiritual thoughts were staring straight ahead. The moment the blade landed on the other party's body, before Khufu could defend, a mysterious light appeared and blocked the blade. This light was still the light of the laws, and it was a light of the laws that greatly restrained the god race. Under normal circumstances, this light of the laws was like an absolute defense that couldn't be broken by anyone of the same level, unless it was a king third stage netherworld. But now, Zichen used the power of the lightning body. This power didn't belong to this world, and it had the power to ignore the laws. As the saber beam slashed out, the nomological light instantly shattered. The blade flashed with lightning as it swept past Khufu's neck. Puff! Blood splattered Khufu, and a human head flew high. When the other 4 people saw this scene, they were petrified. At this moment, 2 words appeared in their minds. Netherworld. The existence that could kill the natives was called the Netherworld in this world. However, the Netherworld was usually a King Grade 3, but the one in front of him was a King Grade 1. King Epin's Netherworld. Khufu's body fell to the ground, and his head also fell in an arc. At the moment of his death, Khufu's eyes were still wide open in disbelief. The sheathed long blade had already been sheathed. Zichen turned around and looked at the 4 people coldly. When they met Zichen's cold eyes, The four people's hearts trembled and they subconsciously retreated. "We can't leave, we have to kill him," Boral suddenly shouted. The other three understood Boral's meaning. If Zichen was allowed to escape today, then Zichen's existence would be a disaster and a nightmare for the Aboriginals in the future. Zichen's expression was cold as he took a step forward. The lightning wings behind him flapped, leaving behind a bolt of lightning on the spot, and his body disappeared. Roar! An angry roar came from Frank's side, and another soul beast appeared. At the same time, 3 soul beasts appeared in other directions. The soul beasts looked different, but their auras were very powerful. At this moment, after they appeared, their auras faintly showed signs of merging, causing Zichen to feel even more pressure. "Attack with all your strength!" Frank shouted. His hands formed a seal, and a light domain appeared, forming an extremely strong oppressive force that enveloped Zichen. The other 3 did the same. In an instant, 4 light domains appeared, suppressing Zichen forcefully. The lightning on Zichen's body dimmed in the face of the 4 pressure, as if it was suppressed. Buzz! His expression was cold, and he no longer hid his strength. He activated the lightning body with all his strength. The blood in his body was almost boiling, and a lot of lightning power appeared from his body and poured into his body. Boom! The lightning body went berserk, and Zichen's body could no longer be seen. Only the flashing lightning could be seen. At the same time, an indescribably powerful aura spread in all directions. Sensing this powerful aura, Frank and the other 3 people's expressions changed drastically. He turned his head and shouted, "Send an emergency message." Swoosh! A strong light flew into the sky and instantly exploded, forming a strong fluctuation that spread in all directions. Just as they sent the signal, a thunderous sound came from the front. Facing the 4 soul beasts, Zichen threw a punch. It was just a punch. This fist landed in the air, and the lightning contained within it exploded. It was just like the yin-yang lightning lotus, but its power was many times stronger. Violent lightning spread out and instantly enveloped the bodies of the 4 soul beasts. This was the lightning explosion fist. It was an extension of the lightning body. The name sounded simple, and it only made the power of the lightning body explode, but the power was very terrifying. The 4 soul beasts didn't even have time to scream in the explosion of energy before their bodies were destroyed and dissipated. At the same time, a strong fluctuation spread out, and the 4 people in the distance were forced back by the energy, coughing up blood in midair. At this moment, their faces were full of shock. They never thought that Zichen would be so powerful that he could fight against the 4 of them alone. Lightning flashed, and Zichen walked out. His expression was cold, and he held the blade in his hand tightly. His eyes were full of killing intent. "Let's go!" The 4 people looked at each other and wanted to retreat in fear. The corners of Zichen's mouth curled up into a smile. It was a disdainful sneer. His lightning wings flapped again, and his body disappeared. Swish! In the blink of an eye, he appeared beside one of them and unsheathed his long blade. At this moment, he didn't use the yin-yang energy. Instead, he used the pure light of the lightning body. The blade swept past, and a head flew, and blood spurted out. Decapitation! Swish! His figure flashed again, and he appeared beside another person. The blade light was unsheathed again. The previous lightning explosion had consumed a lot of his energy. Now, with every attack, the power of the lightning body was constantly consumed. Another head flew into the air. "Don't kill me! Don't kill me!" Frank looked at Zichen in horror and begged for mercy. He was the last one. "Stop!" At this moment, a loud shout came from afar, and a strong aura emerged. Hearing this shout, Frank's eyes flashed with joy, and he shouted, "Save me!" Zichen smiled coldly and slashed with the blade in his hand. Chapter 30:21. After one slash, Bor was beheaded by Zi-Chin as expected. At this moment, Zi-Chin had exhausted the power of his thunder body. Powerful auras surged behind him. More natives had arrived. The battle had started and ended quickly, but there were still so many people. It was clear that they were not the only ones who had come this time. Zi-Chin turned around to look at the natives. His body released beams of energy, which swept the dead bodies of the natives to Zi-Chin. Buzz! The natives wanted to seal the space. Although they were far away, Zi-Chin could still see the shock and anger on their faces. Swoosh! With a cold smile, Zi-Chin opened his world. His world expanded, and his body disappeared from where he stood. Where is he? Seeing Zi-Chin disappear, the natives were stunned. Zi-Chin teleported several thousand miles away. Then he teleported several more times. After making sure that he had shaken everyone off, he returned to his world. How is it? Everyone was staring at Zi-Chin. His aura was very weak. Zi-Chin said, "These natives have a stronger restraining effect on us. They are immune to all energy attacks. Only the thunder body can hurt them." When the others heard this, their faces revealed a trace of shock. It should be known that Zi-Chin was the strongest existence on this life star. Besides being a nature-defying being, his body also had two different kinds of energy. These two kinds of energy could pose a threat to the heavenly beasts in this area. If even his energy attacks were ineffective on the natives, then no one in this world could threaten them. That was the truth. In this world, no one at the same level could be a match for the natives. Thinking back to the previous battle, Zi-Chin said, "There's a special power in their bodies. It's like the power of law that we comprehended when we were in the Earth realm. Their strength comes from that power of law, and it can suppress us. Without this power of law, the fighting power of the natives would be the same as a normal god king. They would be far weaker than us." Through the battle, Zi-Chin knew that as long as he could break this layer of law, he could kill the natives. However, it seemed impossible. Currently, only the lightning physique possessed such power. Zi-Chin asked Shadowless if he had encountered a similar problem in the past. Shadowless shook his head and said that he had never encountered such a problem, so he could not give a reasonable opinion. If that's the case, won't we be suppressed forever? Everyone's expression turned ugly. Thinking of the destructive power formed by the thunder body, Zi-Chin said, "Unless we find a stronger power to break these rules." In other words, this was the purpose of the Divine King Heavenly Domain's trial. Otherwise, you will be suppressed forever. But where can I go to find a powerful force? If they did, the god race here wouldn't have been suppressed all this time. This was indeed the crux of the matter. If they were truly powerful, the Protoss, who had the advantage in numbers, would have long had a change in their status here. Just as everyone was feeling helpless, a light figure appeared. It was the saber spirit of the 9 extreme weapons. Senior. When Zi-Chin saw Sword Spirit, he immediately bowed. The others also became serious. It was the first time Martin, Lunk, and Luo Yi had seen Sword Spirit, so their expressions were strange. If you don't have any other solution, then first comprehend the king true meaning of the ancestral steel. After comprehending one true meaning, you will comprehend all 3 true meanings of the ancestral steel. Then you can integrate the ancestral steel into the 9 extreme weapons. Perhaps you can control this situation. Sword Spirit looked at everyone and said, when Zi-Chin and the others heard this, their eyes brightened. However, Luo Yi and the other 2 were still confused. This was for those who had the 9 extreme weapons. There were only 9 extreme weapons on the Life Star. However, they had not obtained all of them. They had only obtained the saber, the sword, the spear, the shield, and the spear. As for the flag, the staff, and the axe, they had not found any clues yet. However, to everyone, this news was equivalent to sending charcoal in snowy weather. Zi-Chin began to recover the consumption of his thunder body. At the same time, his body flashed. Golden body, and two clones appeared at the same time. He began to comprehend the saber essence and the extreme speed. He had already reached the Wang Yiping level. Under such circumstances, he could comprehend the saber essence equivalent to a grade 1. Of course, his comprehension speed would be fast. The sword spirit disappeared again. This was not the real solution, but it would help them temporarily. After his consumed thunder body power was fully recovered, Zichen did not comprehend the saber essence with his clones. Instead, he checked the storage rings of the 5 people. As the rings were opened, the first things that entered his eyes were many ores and other resources. Seeing these half-finished resources, Zichen understood everything. These people must have something to do with the Senma organization. Then he saw the Supreme Crystal, which was the thing he cared about the most. After checking, there were more than 2,000 Supreme Crystals. Besides these Supreme Crystals, there were more resources that were useless to Zichen. Zichen took out these God King crystals and distributed them to everyone so that they could increase their strength as soon as possible. Meanwhile, he left the world. Now, some natives had come to find him. Although he had teleported away, they would still come for him. Rather than passively waiting for them to find him, he might as well take the initiative. Moreover, he needed the Supreme Crystal badly. Since he did not have the ability to mine it himself, he could only snatch it from the natives. If you kill me, I will kill you. There seemed to be no problem. Zichen's figure disappeared from the spot. Thousands of miles away, another team of 5 people appeared. They were heading to other organizations to exchange resources. Every time, the 5 of them would travel together. After witnessing Boar's death with their own eyes, they were shocked to the extreme. It seemed that they had never seen such a powerful outsider since they could remember. Currently, the 2 teams were not too far apart from each other. If anything happened, they would be able to support each other in time. Shoo! Just as they were searching for traces of the god race, a light figure suddenly appeared before their eyes. Following the appearance of this silhouette, these people's expressions changed. When they saw that it was Zichen, they retreated and yelled at the same time, displaying all kinds of techniques. Boom! Thunder erupted from Zichen's body, and the 12-winged heavenly thunder wings appeared behind him. With great speed, he arrived in front of one of them. He unsheathed his long saber. This was a move that could split space, using the pure power of the thunder body. The rules that appeared on the body of this native were instantly destroyed when they met this saber. At the same time, the saber light swept past the native's body. Blood splattered as the native's body was cut open. Seeing this, the other natives retreated in horror. His battle prowess was a little too strong. Shoo! Chapter 30:22. After Zichen used the heavenly thunder wings, his speed reached its peak. As long as he did not come into contact with the natives, he would not be suppressed at all. Even if he was suppressed by the domain, he could still exert a certain amount of speed. This speed was enough to dazzle the natives and make them unable to distinguish between things. Speaking of which, they had an advantage in terms of rules. They were powerful because of rules, not because they had mastered some powerful technique. Compared to them, whether it was the heavenly thunder wings or the 9 passing lightning, they were techniques that had been passed down for countless generations. Puff, puff, puff. Because he took the initiative to attack, Zichen still had some energy left after using his strongest 5 slashes. He glanced at the other indigenous people who were about to arrive, and a smile appeared on his face. With a flash of light, he swept up the corpse and left. What followed was naturally to escape and then recover. His combat strength is very strong, but he consumes a lot of energy. He can only kill 5 at most. In the team that followed behind, one of the natives said in a low voice, "Call more people. As long as we surround him, he will definitely die." Before the news could be sent back, another 2 5-man teams were killed. When the news of a divine clan member, Wang Yiping, killing 20 natives spread, it caused a huge uproar. No one would believe it, but they had to. A Wang Yiping has such great combat strength. Could it be that he has awakened that power? In the nearest Seoul city, an elderly native asked. It doesn't seem like it. Every time he attacks, he consumes a lot of energy, said one of the native's subordinates. Then send more people to kill him. We can't let him live. The elderly native said coldly, Yes. The other party retreated. Damn it! You have such skills without awakening that power. Once you succeed in advancing, won't you be able to change the situation of this world? An old native's eyes flashed with a cold light. If a rank 1 can't kill him, then let a rank 2 do it. If a rank 2 still can't do it, then go to the soldier and craftsman clans and ask for reinforcements. I don't believe that you can survive this siege. In less than a month, Ziqin had already killed 6 teams. After that, he did not make any more moves. Instead, he left the area. He had obtained a lot of Supreme Crystal and many other resources that were of no use to him. Now, he needed to find a faction and exchange the resources he obtained for Supreme Crystal. As he went deeper into the mountains, Ziqin discovered some ore veins that were being mined. As he followed these ore veins, he discovered the encampment of a certain faction. This place was even bigger than Senmez, so there should be more Supreme Crystal stored here. Ziqin flew straight ahead. During this time, some people saw Ziqin, but did not stop him. This was because he was just Wang Yiping, which was too ordinary here. It was only when Ziqin tried to fly towards the core area that he was stopped. Who are you? A Wang Yiping stopped him with an unfriendly look on his face. Ziqin said, Where is your leader? I want to make a deal with him. A deal? Wang Yiping looked him up and down, his face full of doubt. If you're not here to make a deal, are you here to assassinate me? Ziqin said indifferently. Wait here. The man turned around. Obviously, he was going to report. After a while, a second-grade Wang Yiping arrived. He sized up Ziqin and said, You're just a Wang Yiping. What deal do you want to make with me? Ziqin took out a divine ring and threw it to him. He said, Show it to your leader and exchange all these things for Supreme Crystal. The second-grade Wang Yiping casually opened the divine ring, but in the next moment his expression changed. He looked at Ziqin in surprise and doubt. Do you have the guts to accept it? Ziqin asked. Wait a moment. The man's tone was much more polite. At the same time, he returned the divine ring to Ziqin. The next moment, a middle-aged man appeared. He was a third-grade Wang Yiping. At this level, he was not afraid of a native Wang Yiping. A force with a third-grade Wang Yiping in charge should be able to swallow this amount of resources. I'm Guding. How should I address you, friend? The third-grade Wang Yiping saluted Ziqin. Ziqin said lightly. Some of the Protoss in the distance looked over curiously. They were surprised to see a third-grade Wang Yiping leader being so polite to a Wang Yiping. The other party invited Ziqin to his residence for a chat, but Ziqin refused. He said directly, Can you exchange these resources of mine? The third-grade Wang Yiping Guding said, I can, but the price is different. You have the final say in the price. Ziqin said directly. These things were snatched from others. It was good enough for him to exchange them for resources. I only want the Supreme Crystal, Ziqin repeated. How many of these resources do you have? Guding asked. Ziqin took out 30 divine rings. The divine rings emitted a faint light and flew toward Guding. The second-grade Wang Yiping had seen the resources in one of the divine rings. At that time, his expression became serious. However, after seeing these 30 divine rings, he was even more shocked. Guding took the divine rings. After examining them with his divine telekinesis, his expression changed drastically. So many? He said involuntarily. Can I exchange them? Ziqin asked. Guding's expression changed. The other party was just a mere Wang Yiping. but he had so many resources. Even if their forces were to mine these resources, it would take several years to extract them. The things in these divine rings were the result of years of production. This made him a little tempted. Seeing that Gu Ding did not answer immediately, Zichen frowned. "This price," Gu Ding said hesitantly, but it was more like a test. "At least half of what you normally exchange." Zichen gave him a baseline price. It was obviously fair. Gu Ding's expression became awkward. At the same time, there was a fierce struggle in his mind. "You really are here." At that moment, a cold voice suddenly sounded. The void broke open, and several rays of light appeared. These rays of light turned into the appearance of the indigenous people. There were 5 of them. Seeing these 5 indigenous people, Gu Ding's expression changed drastically. He immediately retreated, not forgetting to collect the 30 divine rings containing resources. Zichen did not say anything. He just looked at these indigenous people coldly. "Today you will die." The indigenous person snorted coldly. Behind him, the void opened again, and another 5 indigenous people appeared. A total of 10 people appeared. Chapter 30:23. Gu Ding and the king, rank 2, retreated. When he saw the 10 natives in front of him, his face was full of shock. Who the hell is he? How did he attract 10 natives here? Gu Ding was very shocked. Although he was a king rank 3, he could barely block one of the natives in a real fight. It was blocking, not killing. If he had the strength to kill the natives, he would have been targeted by Netherworld. The king rank 2 next to him had a very serious expression. His eyes were fixed on Zichen, who was surrounded by the natives. At the same time, the Protoss in the distance also noticed this scene. They looked up at the sky with a shocked expression. Boom! They saw Wang Yiping suddenly erupt with a violent aura. Dazzling lightning flashed from his body. An extremely strong pressure fell from the sky and swept over this part of the world. Feeling this strong pressure, everyone's expression changed drastically. The next moment, he disappeared. When he reappeared, he was behind one of the natives. He had a long saber in his hand. The saber was unsheathed instantly. A thunderous saber light flashed, and the natives were beheaded. Looking at the headless body spurting blood, all the Protoss faces were full of horror. At the same time, many exclamations were heard. "Netherworld, he's Netherworld." It was recognized by all the Protoss that the Netherworld was able to kill the natives. However, all the Netherworlds were king rank 3. They had never seen Wang Yiping's Netherworld. It's Netherworld. Gu Ding's expression changed drastically. In addition to shock, there was also a touch of panic. Just a moment ago, he had the thought of killing the natives to steal their resources. After killing the enemy with 1 slash, Zichen continued with a 2nd slash and killed another person. After killing more than 30 natives, Zichen had already summed up his killing experience. When killing them, he could not hold back. He had to go all out. Not only could he kill the enemy effectively, but he could also reduce his consumption. That kind of back and forth battle was too disadvantageous for him. With his current full strength, he could probably kill 7 natives. Of course, the natives wouldn't just stand there and let him kill them. They retreated one after another and quickly formed hand seals. Soul beasts appeared one after another. After the soul beast appeared, the pressure it released was extremely oppressive to Zichen. At the same time, this oppressive aura spread out in all directions, causing the Protoss in the distance to cry out in alarm and retreat. From that aura, they could feel an extremely strong threat. Whoosh! Zichen's expression remained cold as he looked at these soul beasts. His figure flashed, and he disappeared from where he was. At this moment, under the boundless pressure, his extreme speed was also affected to a certain extent. Fortunately, he was still very fast, and the power of his lightning body was still very strong. Puff! A soul beast was slashed apart by the blade. At the same time, The blade didn't slow down at all as it slashed through the body of the native who couldn't escape in time. Blood splattered everywhere as another person died. Of the 10 Aborigines, only 7 remained. However, the 7 of them had already retreated far away, leaving only the 7 soul beasts behind. The leader of the soul tribe said coldly, "Today you must die." After the Protoss who had retreated far away felt safe, they stopped and looked forward again. At this moment, even more God race beings had arrived from all directions. When they saw everything that was happening, they exclaimed in shock. They had only heard of the Netherworld and had never really seen it. However, they didn't expect it to be so powerful after seeing it today. It killed 3 Aborigines in an instant, and it was an instant kill among those of the same level. Isn't the Netherworld too terrifying? Gu Ding looked at the corpses on the ground with an extremely shocked expression. Next to him, the Wang Yiping said, "Could it be that he obtained the divine rings from before in this way?" If that was the case, it was too incredible. The 30 divine rings represented the lives of 30 Aborigines. At this moment, the 7 soul beasts attacked at the same time. They flew toward Ziqin, and during this time, light flowed around their bodies. The special rule power that suppressed the Protoss formed a domain-like halo of light that suppressed Ziqin. Faced with this kind of suppression, even Gu Ding, a Wang Yiping, would find it difficult to move, let alone Ziqin, who was just a Wang Yiping. At this moment, Ziqin didn't move at all. In their eyes, he was completely suppressed to the point that he couldn't move at all. The Aborigines sneered as the 7 soul beasts pounced in front of him. At this moment, Ziqin moved. Lightning flashed on his body as he punched toward the sky. Thunder Explosion Fist. The fist landed in the void and exploded instantly. A powerful wave visible to the naked eye spread out in all directions. The 7 soul beasts were instantly enveloped by this force. At the same time, under the powerful surge of energy, these soul beasts were sent flying into the distance. The soul beasts that were sent flying became weak, but they didn't dissipate. Ziqin stood in the air, his face a little pale. In the case of 1 against 7, his punch consumed a lot of energy, equivalent to killing several Aborigines. "This is your limit, isn't it?" The leader of the Aborigines snorted, showing disdain. In fact, in his heart he was very shocked because the other party obviously hadn't awakened the powerful strength that only the Protoss had, but he still had such a terrifying skill. This was already the first person in history. If they didn't have the advantage in numbers and the absolute suppression of the rules, they would have died long ago. The Protoss in the crowd were very shocked, but at the same time they felt very sorry. In their opinion, this ridiculously strong powerhouse died just like that. Ziqin smiled and said, "I admit that it's difficult for me to kill you after you've joined forces, but who said that I'm alone? Look behind you." The Aborigines snorted again and said disdainfully, "This kind of insignificant skill you want to," before he could finish his sentence. Cries of surprise came from all around. Above their heads, a plant suddenly appeared. In the next moment, this plant pierced through the body of one of the Aborigines like a spear. During this time, the light of rules that appeared on the surface of the Aborigines' bodies couldn't affect him at all. While piercing through the body of one of the Aborigines, this plant with only 1 leaf didn't have any intention of stopping. The thin leaf continued to extend and pierce through the body of the 2nd Aborigines, then the 3rd. At this time, the leader of the Aborigines only realized that something was wrong at this time. When he turned around, he saw that 3 of his companions were pierced through by a green light and connected together. Not good. Chapter 3024. The sudden appearance of the spirit-devouring King Grass pierced through the bodies of 3 natives. Now, there were only 4 enemies left for Ziqin to face. As soon as the 3 soul beasts retreated from the battlefield, Ziqin took advantage of the moment when the pressure on him decreased and disappeared. In the next moment, he appeared beside one of them and slashed with his sword. Decapitation, death. His figure flashed and disappeared again. Before the pressure of the rules could land on him, the blade had already landed on the second native. Poof! Blood splattered everywhere. Another one died. There were only 2 enemies left, including the leader. Terrified, they turned and ran. Do you think you can escape? Zi Chen's eyes flashed coldly. His figure disappeared twice. During this time, the leaves of the spirit-devouring king grass pierced through the bodies of the natives that were falling to the ground like snakes. Then it connected them together and devoured their energy. The battle ended quickly. There were no more enemies around. The spirit-devouring king grass continued to devour these people's energy. The previous 3 natives were dead. The surroundings were silent. Everyone seemed to be petrified. Zi Chen turned around and looked at Gu Ding in the distance. Is the Supreme Crystal ready? Gu Ding, who was still in shock, came back to his senses. Besides shock, there was also relief in his eyes. If these people had not come in time, he would have been the one to be slaughtered. Give me the Supreme Crystal you have. This master wants to exchange some resources with us. Hurry up. Gu Ding turned around and shouted at the God Kings in the distance. The others around him also came back to their senses. They knew why this master wanted to exchange resources with them. They took out the Supreme Crystal they had and handed it to Gu Ding. Some had 1 piece, while others had 2 pieces. After a while, Gu Ding had gathered a portion of the Supreme Crystal. He brought it to Zi Chen and said, "This is all I have for now. If you trust me, Master, after we exchange these resources, you can come and get the rest." "All right." Zi Chen nodded. He took the Supreme Crystal and left without looking at it. The spirit-devouring king grass, which was still devouring the spirit-devouring king grass, twisted a few times before disappearing. Wang Erpin, who was standing next to Gu Ding, looked hesitant as he watched Zi Chen leave. He seemed to have made up his mind and immediately flew forward. "Hu Ka, what are you doing?" Gu Ding asked. "I have a question that I would like to ask you, sir." The king's second rank, named Hu Ka, said. He flew forward in the direction Zi Chen had left. Hundreds of miles away, Zi Chen stood indifferently. He turned around and looked at the second-grade king. "Greetings, my lord." The second-rank king saluted Zi Chen respectfully with his fists clasped. No matter where one was, strength was everything. "You're from the underworld?" Zi Chen looked at the other party. Previously, he had heard the other party's voice transmission, which was why he had stopped and waited. He's just a peripheral member of the Netherworld, lurking among the forces to find good candidates for the Netherworld, Hu Ka said. Gu Ding is one of them, but he's still being tested. Does he have the strength to kill indigenous people? Zi Chen asked. Hu Ka shook his head and said, "Not yet, but after he passes the test, the Netherworld will increase his combat power." Oh, Zi Chen was a little surprised, but at the same time he was more curious about the Netherworld. "If you want to exchange resources, sir, it's better to go to the Netherworld. There are enough resources there, and the price is very fair. Isn't the Netherworld very mysterious?" "That's for outsiders. Sir, you've killed so many indigenous people today, so you're no longer an outsider. Sir, your combat power is very strong. If you want to join the Netherworld, I believe your combat power will become even stronger." At this moment, Zi Chen was naturally tempted. The Netherworld specialized in fighting against indigenous people and had always had a good reputation. If he really joined the Netherworld, he would not have to run away like this. "Where's the Netherworld?" Zi Chen asked. "Sir, this is the Netherworld token. There's a map in it. When you reach the end of the map, you just need to activate the Netherworld token, and you'll automatically arrive at the Netherworld's base." Hu Ka respectfully handed over a black token. "If anyone asks, sir, just say that this is Hu Ka's token." "Okay." Zi Chen took the token and nodded. "I'll take my leave." Hu Ka turned around and was about to leave. "You just said that there are a lot of resources in the Netherworld. Zichen asked. Yes, Huka said. That's good. Looking at Zichen's disappearing figure, Huka seemed to have thought of something. He was even more shocked and excited at the same time to be able to introduce such an expert to the netherworld. He believed that he would receive a lot of benefits later. He might even be rewarded with the power of the netherworld in advance. After receiving the token, Zichen injected his energy into it and found that a map appeared. The map was very large, and he was currently at a certain point. He did not follow the designated route, but turned back the way he came. He got this token because he was curious about the netherworld. The second reason was that he wanted to exchange for some resources. However, he had already taken out all the resources he had. Now he only had the resources of the 10 indigenous people. Even if he added them up, it should not be much. When he turned back the way he came, Zichen, who did not deliberately hide his tracks, met the indigenous people again. The two sides inevitably fought. During the battle, Zichen found that there were 5 people on the other side, but in fact, there were 5 people hiding in the dark. Under the cooperation of the 10 people, they could already pose a great threat to Zichen because the power of his thunder body was not endless. However, he also had a backup plan. The appearance of the spirit devouring king grass could often bring unexpected results. After killing all the way and obtaining a lot of resources, Zichen knew that it was time for him to leave. None of the indigenous people were fools. At this moment, he had already killed dozens of people. In a situation where they knew that they could not kill him, even if they had more people, they would naturally send more powerful existences. Now, Zichen did not have the confidence to deal with the indigenous people of King Grade 2, so it was time to go to the netherworld to exchange for resources. After telling the others, they naturally did not have any objections. Next, Zichen used the teleportation realm and left the area completely. Then he followed the guidance of the netherworld token and walked in the designated direction. When he reached the end of the route, Zichen injected his energy into the netherworld token. The netherworld token released a light that enveloped Zichen's body. In the next moment, Zichen's body disappeared. The netherworld token had a teleportation function that could only be activated when one arrived at a certain location. When he reappeared, Zichen was in a huge space. There was a teleportation array every few hundred feet. Just as Zichen was sizing up his surroundings, several second-grade king realm god kings flew over from afar. Who are you? Chapter 30:25. Zichen looked at these second grades of the king realm. With a flash of brilliance in his hand, a netherworld token appeared. This is the netherworld token. How did you get it? Looking at the netherworld token in Zichen's hand, the leader of the king realm said in an unfriendly tone, "Of course, someone gave it to me. Did I steal it?" The other party's tone made Zichen a little dissatisfied. Naturally, he emphasized his tone. Who would give you this first-grade netherworld token? The king realm leader obviously did not believe him. Someone named Huka. Zichen said, "Huka? Is he out of his mind? How could he give you a—" Before the king realm leader could finish his words, Zichen's aura suddenly burst out. It was the power of the thunder body, which was very violent. When the power of the thunder body erupted, there was also a powerful wave raging. With the appearance of this wave, the second grades of the king realm around were shaken off one after another. The change here attracted the attention of many people in the distance. After perceiving Zichen's aura, everyone's face changed. You, the leader of the second grades of the king realm, who had been shaken off, looked at Zichen in shock. What's the matter? A cold voice came from behind, and a third stage king flew over. Looking at the incoming king realm leader, Zichen's eyes flashed with a touch of surprise. He had seen him before. It was Yu Ming, who had cheered them up when they first came to this world. Your Excellency, he has the netherworld token. The second grades of the king realm who had been shaken off stood up awkwardly and said, "Oh." The king realm leader, who Zi Chen had seen before, noticed the change in Zi Chen's eyes and said, "Do you know me? A few months ago, when I first came to this area, I saw you." Zi Chen said. The king realm leader's expression changed slightly. He asked, "Why did Huka give you the netherworld token?" "He said that you can exchange resources for Supreme Crystal here." Upon hearing Zi Chen's words, Wang Sanpin's expression changed again. He said, "You are that Wang Yiping who has been rumored to have killed several dozen Spiritas." Zi Chen said, tacitly agreeing. "It really is you." The faces of the second-grade kings around immediately changed. It was impossible for the underworld's influence not to know that such a big thing had happened in this region. They just felt that it was extremely inconceivable, even if someone had already confirmed it. It was already shocking enough that Wang Yiping could fight against the Aboriginals, but it was even more unbelievable that he could kill dozens of them. "We were looking for you everywhere. I didn't expect you to come here of your own accord." This Wang Sanpin said, "Oh, my name is Di Luo." Zi Chen nodded. The surrounding god kings who had heard the news all looked at Zi Chen in shock. They found this unbelievable. "Come with me. You are now a celebrity in the netherworld." Di Luo led Zi Chen forward. Along the way, everyone's gaze fell on Zi Chen. Some were curious, but most were shocked. No one questioned him. In the past few days, the Spiritas had suffered heavy losses. It was as if they had all gone mad. This news could not be false. However, they still could not believe that Wang Yiping could kill so many Aboriginals. Perhaps the second-grade kings who had sensed Zi Chen's aura knew that in that instant they felt the threat of death. Looking at the god kings they met along the way, Zi Chen said, "I thought that there would be very few people in the netherworld. There are indeed very few people in the netherworld. Strictly speaking, these people are not from the netherworld. They are just reserves," Di Luo said. "Only those who have passed the test and mastered the power of the netherworld are true members of the netherworld. There are less than 100 of them right now." "What exactly is the power of the netherworld?" Zi Chen asked. "You have fought with the Aboriginals before. You should know that they are strong because they have a unique power of rules. They can suppress us and increase their battle prowess. The power of the netherworld can temporarily alleviate the pressure of this rule. As their cultivation level increases, their battle prowess will naturally increase as well." Di Luo said, "When we lost all hope of awakening, the power of the netherworld became the only power we had to fight against the Aboriginals." "Hope of awakening?" Zi Chen asked curiously. "What is that?" "When you see the Lord, he will naturally tell you." Speaking of the Lord, Di Luo's expression became serious. "If it were not for the Lord, we would have been suppressed even more. We would not have been able to turn things around." Zi Chen nodded. He agreed with this because the netherworld had always been fighting against the Aboriginals. Under Di Luo's lead, Zi Chen met the Lord. It was a middle-aged man wearing a long black robe. His aura was steady. Although he did not deliberately release it, Zi Chen could still feel how powerful he was. "Lord, this is Zi Chen. He is the one who has caused the soul race to suffer great losses recently." After Di Luo brought Zi Chen here, he turned and left. "Zi Chen, welcome." The middle-aged man looked at Zi Chen with a kind smile on his face. "Zi Chen greets the Lord." Zi Chen clasped his hands. "When we heard about you, we were very surprised. If I were not certain that all the awakening altars in this world were destroyed by the Aboriginals, I would have thought that you had awakened that power," the middle-aged man said. "What kind of power?" Zi Chen asked. Di Luo had mentioned it before, but he did not give a clear answer. "A power that should have belonged to us. It is also the power that we should have after coming to this world. We need to rely on an ancient altar to awaken. Unfortunately, those awakening altars were all destroyed by the Aboriginals. The middle-aged man's eyes showed a trace of pity. If the altars were still there, we, who had awakened our power, would not be weaker than the Aboriginals. We might even be stronger. Zichen's eyes showed a trace of shock. They had guessed it before, but now that their guesses were true, there was no hope. "There is not a single altar," Zichen asked unwillingly. "Could there be one that we did not discover?" The middle-aged man knew what Zichen was thinking. Over the years, he had told this to many netherworld beings. When they first heard about it, they were like, "Zichen, after all, nothing was absolute. More and more God race beings are coming. The lowest level of the God King's celestial realm is almost completely occupied by us. If there were altars, they would have been discovered long ago." The middle-aged man continued, "Moreover, the Aboriginals were once the guardians who guarded the altars for us, preventing them from being destroyed by the heavenly beasts." When Zichen heard this, he let out a sigh of disappointment. If they were the guardians, they would know the number of altars. If they wanted to destroy them, they would not leave a single one behind. He did not expect it to be like this. Chapter 30:26. Zichen was not surprised that the other party was asking about the source of his power. He said, "I obtained this power by accident. Can you be more specific?" The middle-aged man looked at Zichen and said, "Don't misunderstand. I don't have any ill intentions. I just want to do more for the gods in this world. I don't want them to continue being oppressed. With one more powerful power, there will naturally be more choices. I'm not a true god. My power is lightning. In the Divine King's heavenly path, we discovered a prehistoric ruin. I inadvertently obtained another type of lightning power. This lightning power is very strong, much stronger than my previous lightning power. It's just that it can't last forever." Zichen thought for a moment and said, "This kind of power will be used up in a short period of time. Just as I finished using it and felt regretful, I discovered that something strange had happened to my power." Zichen was not telling the truth. However, this was not completely a lie. At most, it was a white lie. This was because his cultivation technique could not be imparted. If possible, he would have imparted it to the Thunder in his team. Looking at the middle-aged man's regretful expression, Zichen said, "There's another person in my team who uses the power of lightning. I tried to give him some mutated energy to see if it could change his power, but it didn't work. As expected, it seems like this world can't tolerate the appearance of stronger powers." The middle-aged man sighed. He did not suspect that Zichen was lying. "Has this situation been going on for a long time?" Zichen asked. "It's been many years. If that's the case, why don't the heavenly gods interfere? After all, this is a place built by the heavenly gods. I believe they have absolute power, right?" "I'm not too sure about that. It's said that after this world was built, there was a level restriction. The heavenly gods are too strong. If they come here, they will cause this world to collapse." When the other party said this, Zichen was even more puzzled. If the heavenly gods knew that there was a problem here, why did they let I Chien come here? Could it be that the pagoda battle god did not know that the situation here had changed? Perhaps there was some other secret behind this. "What's the netherworld power?" Zichen asked. "Back then, when I was roaming this world, I inadvertently obtained a power stone. It was a power that could restrain the natural order. I called it the power of the netherworld, and from there, I created the netherworld force. All those who have succeeded in obtaining the power of the netherworld can ignore the suppression of the natives' rules." The middle-aged man asked, "Are you here for the netherworld energy?" Zichen shook his head and said, "I'm here to see what's going on with netherworld. At the same time, I want to exchange my resources for Supreme Crystal." "How many resources do you have?" The middle-aged man asked with a smile. "Not much. I've already exchanged half of it last time." It was also at that time that I met a second-grade king, Huka. He gave me a netherworld token and asked me to come here to take a look. Looking at Huka's expectant look, it was obvious that he would be rewarded after coming here. Chen didn't mind saying the other party's name. Next, Chen took out the resources that he had sorted out and handed them to the middle-aged man. After the middle-aged man took the resources and looked at them, he was very surprised. These resources will be exchanged for superm crystal of the same value. I'll give them to you later. After that, he looked at Chen and said, I wonder if you're interested in the power of the netherworld. Me. Chen was stunned. That's right. The power of the netherworld is a special kind of power. It can ignore the suppression of the natural order and doesn't repel the power of the god race here. If you're lucky, you might have these two kinds of energy, the middle-aged man said with a smile. Chen was very tempted when he heard this. If that was really the case, it would be great. Can I? Chen's face revealed a look of anticipation. The prerequisite for obtaining the power of the netherworld is that you don't associate with the natives. Then, you have to be strong enough. You have both of these points, so you can naturally do it. Thank you very much. Chen cupped his fists and thanked him. Come with me. The man who had the highest cultivation level and the highest authority in the netherworld led Chen out of the room and walked into the distance. When the people along the way saw this scene, their faces revealed a look of surprise. They did not understand why the man would lower himself to personally entertain Wang Yiping. After listening to the people around them tell them about Wang Yiping's origin and identity, a look of shock appeared on their surprised faces. It turned out that this was the man who had been the talk of the town recently. He was really amazing. Under the guidance of the middle-aged man, Chen walked into the depths of the netherworld's forces. During this time, he met many guards. The number of people in the netherworld was very small. The real netherworld was a force of its own. Under their jurisdiction, there were people who mined mines and hunted heavenly beasts. There were all kinds of people. The resources here are also exchanged in the city? Chen suddenly thought of this question as he walked forward and asked curiously. The middle-aged man smiled and said, No, the natives are very against us. We have other channels for our resources. Chen nodded. Apparently, he understood the man's meaning. In this world, there was never an absolute enemy. There were only absolute benefits. He believed that there were such existences among the natives. As long as the benefits were enough, it was not a big deal to ally with the netherworld. The two of them walked to the place where several king third-grade guards were guarding. From the aura released from their bodies, Chen felt threatened. Obviously, they were all from the netherworld. Sir. With the arrival of the two, these people cupped their fists and bowed. The middle-aged man nodded and said, Open the door. One of the third-grade kings turned around and pushed open the door behind him. The other third-grade kings were sizing up Chen with curiosity. Wang Yiping could kill first-grade natives? And he killed a group of them at once. How was this possible? The door slowly opened. A strong aura was released from the front, blowing Chen's black hair. He saw a space. The space was black, and he could not see what was inside. I won't go in with you. The middle-aged man said, Whether you can get the power of the netherworld depends on whether you are fated. Chen nodded. After adjusting his emotions, he walked forward. He entered the open door and stepped into a space. The originally dark space was now lit up. The light was very faint, but it was enough for him to see things around him. A small path extended forward until it reached the end. At the end of the path, there was a huge rock that emitted a black light. As he approached, Chen felt that the air was filled with a strong oppressive force. The pressure was constantly increasing. After only walking half the distance, the pressure made Chen feel a little uncomfortable. He frowned, and lightning flashed out of his body. Chapter 30:27. Zi-Chen's body flashed with lightning, illuminating the surroundings. The stone in front of him that contained the power of the netherworld also lit up. It was a black light that looked very pure and also enveloped the surroundings. The power of lightning and the power of the netherworld seemed to have formed some kind of resistance at this moment, each occupying half of the space. The pressure from before had been swept away, but there was a feeling in the air that Zi-Chen could not describe. He took a deep breath and continued to walk forward. With every step he took, the lightning on his body burned brighter, and the light on the stone that contained the power of the netherworld faded a little. At first, Zi-Chen walked very easily, but as he walked forward, it became more and more difficult. Moreover, in his heart there was a strong feeling, just like when he fought with Yushiu on the Divine King's path. It seemed that this power called the netherworld was a natural counter to the lightning body. Finally, Zi-Chen walked in front of the netherworld stone. The netherworld stone that was originally releasing a strong light had now completely withdrawn its light and returned to its previous appearance. A transparent light barrier that could only be seen when he walked closer separated Zi-Chen from the netherworld stone. How can I obtain the power inside? Zi-Chen pondered for a moment, then closed his eyes and released his soul power to begin to sense. A moment later, he sensed the energy of the netherworld stone. It was a very terrifying energy, like a giant beast. At this moment, Zi-Chen was like an ant in front of the giant beast. He raised his head to look at the giant beast, but he could not even see its full appearance. If this was the power of the netherworld, how could he obtain it? Soon, Zi-Chen realized how ridiculous his idea was. At the same time, he also knew what the so-called power of the netherworld was. He saw a light fly out of the giant beast's body, and that light landed on his body. This light was a power, the power of the netherworld. It was obviously impossible to obtain the power of this giant beast. He had only obtained a trace of the giant beast's power. Just as Zi-Chen felt relieved, a bolt of lightning suddenly appeared in his body. The thunderbolt landed on the black energy and instantly shattered it. Faintly, Zi-Chen seemed to hear a cry of agony from the shattered black energy. What's going on? Zi-Chen checked his body and found no abnormalities. The lightning that had appeared earlier had already disappeared. The giant beast in front of him didn't show any emotion. Zi-Chen willed it again, and a similar black energy flew out from the gigantic beast. This time, Zi-Chen could clearly sense that this energy was very strong. It was netherworld energy. The netherworld energy once again landed on his body. However, just as it entered his body, Zi-Chen's lightning body was automatically activated. Another bolt of lightning appeared and came into contact with the netherworld energy. In the next moment, the netherworld energy shattered, and the previous scream rang out once again. This time it was much clearer. Zi-Chen still didn't understand what was going on. The giant beast in front of him seemed to be in a deep sleep and didn't care about Zi-Chen's disrespectful behavior. With a thought, another bolt of energy arrived. Then, with another thought, he found that he could only obtain one bolt of energy each time. Unsurprisingly, this bolt of energy was shattered by the lightning body's power. After several attempts, Zi-Chen had to admit that he couldn't obtain the netherworld energy. Moreover, this netherworld energy seemed to have a mind of its own. Every time it was shattered by the lightning body's power, there would be a scream. Zi-Chen heard this very clearly. As for why this was, Zi-Chen didn't know. He looked up at the giant beast, but it still didn't move. Although the netherworld energy was strange, it was very powerful. Zi-Chen couldn't help but feel a little unwilling to give up. At this moment, his spiritual thoughts suddenly stirred as he thought of a possibility. With a thought, his clone appeared at the side. The clone existed independently and didn't have the lightning body. Could it have the netherworld energy? With a thought from the clone, a bolt of netherworld energy appeared and flew directly toward the clone. The power landed on the doppelganger. Then it revolved around the doppelganger before finally entering its body. During this time, Zi-Chen's lightning body's power was restless, but it didn't take the initiative to attack. While Zi-Chen was happy that his clone had obtained the netherworld energy, he didn't let his guard down. Instead, he let his clone carefully sense this power. The netherworld energy entered his body and merged with the God Clan's energy. The two sides showed signs of merging. Is it merging? Zi-Chen looked at the clone and asked. He couldn't see the changes in the clone's body and could only guess through the clone's perception. It looks very similar, but it's not really merging. The clone thought for a moment and said, "It's more like devouring." Devouring? Zi-Chen was surprised. "Yes, my divine power is flowing away. This power is growing. Can you sense something unusual?" "I can't sense it. This power is like an evolved version of divine power. I can control it at will." Just as the two of them were talking, a second bolt of netherworld energy rushed out of the giant beast and entered the clone's body. "What's going on?" Zi-Chen asked. "I'm not sure. It seems to have checked my body and felt that my body can contain more power." The clone's answer was obviously uncertain. "Did it become stronger?" "Yes." Zi-Chen looked at the giant beast that was still sleeping and said, "Wait a moment." He placed his hand on the clone, and the restless lightning body directly entered the clone's body. The next moment, the lightning body flowed through the clone's body. The clone's expression began to distort because of the pain. An even more shrill scream sounded. The netherworld energy in the clone's body was torn apart by the lightning body. When the netherworld energy had completely disappeared, the power of the lightning physique had returned to him. The clone was very weak at this moment. "How do you feel?" Zi-Chen asked again. "It consumed a lot of energy, and it was very painful just now," the clone said. Clearly, this netherworld energy was very strange. "What do you think?" Zi-Chen asked. "It can temporarily make us stronger. Naturally, it's a good thing." The clone thought for a moment and said, "Even if there's something strange, the lightning body's power can suppress it." Then the clone looked up at the giant beast. "Maybe it's looking for an inheritor." Zi-Chen said, "It's still dangerous." The clone said, "For us, danger is everywhere, isn't it?" Although Zi-Chen and the clone were the same person, the clone had an independent soul and its own way of thinking. "It's up to you." Zi-Chen finally said. Clearly, he wanted the clone to make the choice. The clone closed its eyes and began to absorb the netherworld energy without hesitation. Stream after stream of netherworld energy entered the clone's body. Chapter 3028. Zi-Chen gave the choice to his doppelganger, and the doppelganger chose to accept the netherworld energy without hesitation. Streaks of netherworld energy entered the doppelganger's body, and then it devoured the divine power, turning all its power into netherworld energy. "How do you feel?" Sensing the change in the doppelganger's aura, Zi-Chen asked. "I feel stronger and stronger. Other than that, I don't feel any discomfort." The doppelganger closed its eyes and said, "This is equivalent to a new power, and I can control it as I wish." Zi-Chen nodded, feeling slightly relieved. The strongest middle-aged man in the netherworld had been waiting outside without any change in his expression. Beside him, the rank 3 netherworld warriors stood upright, looking slightly anxious. As time passed, a rank 3 king said, "Could there be a problem? Why hasn't it come out after so long?" They all had experience in obtaining netherworld energy. Although there would be some tests in between, it definitely wouldn't take so long. Under normal circumstances, those who took this long were all failures. The middle-aged man shook his head and said, "It's okay, wait a little longer." Zi-Chen's consciousness returned, and he found himself still standing in front of the netherworld stone, separated by the transparent light shield. The light on the netherworld stone was still very faint, and he couldn't see any abnormalities. The enormous nether behemoth from before seemed to have been an illusion. Zichen turned his head and saw the doppelganger standing beside him. At this moment, the doppelganger also opened its eyes. "How is it?" Zichen asked. "It feels good, like I've been reborn." The doppelganger clenched its fist, and black power appeared from its body. It was netherworld energy, and it was very powerful. He gently flicked his finger, and a power flew forward. Zichen also raised his hand and pointed, and a power of thunder body appeared. The power of thunder body hit the netherworld energy, and in the next moment the netherworld energy was destroyed. However, this time, Zichen didn't hear the scream. Zichen nodded at the doppelganger, and the doppelganger disappeared. Zichen, who had originally planned to let others try to refine the netherworld energy, naturally wouldn't let them take the risk after this happened. Zichen turned around and walked out. Outside the door, he saw the Lord who was still waiting. He said, "Sorry, it took a while." The middle-aged man smiled and said, "Time is not important. Did you get that kind of power?" Zichen slowly shook his head and said, "I didn't get it. It seems to counter my previous power. However, I have a clone who obtained this power." "Oh, what realm is that clone of yours at?" asked the slightly disappointed middle-aged man curiously. "Wang Yiping." As soon as Zichen finished speaking, gasps of surprise sounded from behind him. It was rare for Wang Yiping to be able to obtain the power of the netherworld. Their expressions were full of anticipation, but Zichen had no intention of letting his doppelganger appear. Currently, his clone was in his world, discussing matters related to the netherworld energy with everyone. "May I ask, my lord, how should the netherworld energy grow in the future?" Zichen asked as they were leaving. "There's no need to deliberately grow it. The netherworld energy will grow as the realm increases. The higher the realm, the stronger the netherworld energy will be, and the suppression from the natives will be smaller." The middle-aged man said, however, because of their physique or other reasons, the amount of netherworld energy obtained by each person is different. Only those who obtain 10% or more can become a true netherworld energy. 10% or more. Zichen was very puzzled and asked, "What does that mean?" The middle-aged man said, "When you obtain the netherworld energy, your own energy will be transformed. When the transformation reaches 10% of your total energy, you will have the strength to face the natives and qualify to become a true netherworld energy. Otherwise, you won't. So that's how it is. Compared to this 10%, there should be other levels, right?" Zichen asked. The middle-aged man looked at Zichen meaningfully and said, "Above 10%, there are other levels, from 20% to 90%. The more you transform, the stronger your combat power. If you transform more than 70% of your energy, you'll have the combat power to fight against those of the same level." Zichen's face revealed a hint of surprise and said, "If the conversion rate of a third-grade king is as high as 70%, you can deal with the natives of the third-grade king." "That's right. But first, someone has to reach 70%. Over the years, there have been very few who have surpassed 30%, let alone 70%. This is also why the netherworld energy here is almost all third-grade king." Zichen nodded and said with some regret, "It's a pity that I can't use such power." The middle-aged man smiled and said, "There's no pity. Your mutated power is not weaker than the netherworld energy at all." At this moment, someone brought over a divine ring. The Lord took the divine ring and handed it to Zichen, saying, "This is the superm crystal you deserve this time." Zichen thanked him and took it. Without looking at it, he asked directly, "What do I need to do for the netherworld energy?" The Lord smiled and said, "The netherworld energy doesn't need any netherworld energy to return. You can keep the netherworld token. When you need resources, just use the netherworld token and come back." "Okay." Zichen nodded. He didn't stay here for long and left after bidding farewell to the Lord. In Zichen's world, Everyone surrounded the doppelganger and looked at it curiously. Black light flowed on the doppelganger's body. This was pure black, without any trace of divine light. According to the level that the middle-aged man had mentioned, the doppelganger's conversion rate should be higher than the maximum 90%. It was a complete transformation. Previously, the doppelganger had told everyone about the abnormality of this energy, but no one could say whether this situation would be good or bad in the future. But for now, this situation was naturally very good. This was because the team needed powerful combat strength, and the doppelganger that had been transformed from energy undoubtedly had the same combat strength as the real body. This was naturally a good thing. Of course, the better thing was that Zi Chen had exchanged for a lot of Supreme Crystal. With the help of the Supreme Crystal to comprehend the King-grade ancestral steel's true meaning, everyone's comprehension speed would be faster. In a wasteland, a team of natives was moving forward. Unlike the previous team of 10 people, this team was made up of 3 people. Although there were only 3 people, they were all second-stage kings. Existences at this level were already very strong in this area. Ao Meng, haven't you noticed? While moving forward, a second-stage king man asked. The second-stage king, named Ao Meng, said, "From the message sent by the Spirit Eagle, the opponent's aura seems to have disappeared from this area." Disappeared? Has he been killed? The second-stage king asked. Ao Meng shook his head and said, "Impossible. There are only 3 of us here." Chapter 30:29. Zi Chen stepped into the transmission array and left. At this time, he was thinking about awakening altars. He believed that the awakening altars in this world might have been destroyed by the natives, but he did not believe that there were no other ways to awaken or to obtain greater power. For example, the power of the underworld in this world. Why was he so confident? It was because of I Chien and the Tower Battle God. With Sky God's strength and methods, it was not difficult for him to find out what was wrong with this world. Since he had left behind a token before he left, Zi Chan did not believe that Sky God did not understand this world before he left, given the special care that Sky God had for I Chien. But he still gave him the token. Clearly, there was a turning point. But where was this turning point? Zi Chen frowned and walked forward aimlessly. He did not notice that a black that appeared in the sky above his head. It was a spirit eagle. Its pair of eagle eyes stared at Zi Chen below and circled around him once before flying off into the distance. Could it be that the natives are still secretly hiding awakening altars? It was not impossible. After all, there were still natives working with the underworld. There might be awakening altars that had not been destroyed. He was considering whether to find Kong Mo and see if the craftsman had any. As soon as this idea appeared, Zi Chen dismissed it. Kong Mo had just arrived and did not have solid foundation. He would not know about such core matters. Moreover, the craftsman's attitude toward them was not good. Even if they did, they would not give it to him. Next, Zi Chan was a little worried because he did not know where to go. Should he find the natives again and hunt them? It seemed that this was the only way for them to grow quickly. Just as Zi Chen was about to make up his mind, a powerful aura suddenly came from the horizon. Sensing this aura, his expression changed and he cried out, "King Level 2!" After a series of killings, the Aboriginals finally sent more powerful experts. Zi Chen opened his world and was about to escape. He did not want to fight against a rank 2. Moreover, with his world, he did not need to face such danger. Wang, his figure disappeared and appeared hundreds of feet away in the next moment. When he appeared, his expression changed as he looked up at the sky. A domain appeared from within, and an extremely powerful aura filled the surroundings. This is the craftsman's domain. Zi Chen's expression changed. Kong Mo had been protecting them ever since they had come here from the Divine King's path, so he was naturally very familiar with the craftsman's domain. "Why don't you keep running?" A mocking laugh sounded as a man with a heavy hammer in his hand walked over from the distance. He was from the craftsman, so this was his domain. The other two could no longer be seen. It was unknown if they were outside the domain. Zichen stared at him coldly. The man played with the heavy hammer in his hand and said, "Your body is not bad. After I kill you, I'll refine you into a puppet." When he finished speaking, 2 streaks of light flew out from his body. Those were 2 people, only they looked lifeless without any signs of life. They held sharp weapons in their hands and rushed towards Zichen. A bright light flashed in Zichen's hand and a long saber appeared. Shua! He rushed towards the 2 people. Clang! Clang! As the weapons clashed, clanging sounds rang out continuously. Wave after wave of shockwaves spread out. These 2 people did not look like humans, and their battle strength was not weak. However, their attacks were not too powerful, and the suppression from the laws was not too strong either. The battle continued, and the craftsman native looked at the 3 people fighting with a look of disdain. He shook his head and said, "This is too boring." Could it be that the rumors were false? He was referring to how Zichen was too weak, and how he could not kill the 2 lowest-grade puppets. In the next moment, his expression slightly changed as a look of surprise appeared in his eyes. A bright light appeared in front of him, and it sounded like thunder. Countless lightning snakes rampaged about, causing his domain to slightly tremble. When the light disappeared, his 2 puppets had been cut in half and fell to the ground. Zichen's body flickered with lightning as he used the lightning constitution that could destroy enemies. "This is interesting." The craftsman laughed and rushed forwards. He raised his heavy hammer, which could be used to refine weapons, and a black energy flowed around it. The heavy hammer instantly enlarged and smashed down like a mountain, causing a sharp howl to sound out. Zichen looked up and sensed this terrifying aura, and his expression became serious. Lightning flashed as he unsheathed his long saber. The unsheathed saber was filled with boundless lightning constitution's power, and the area covered by the black light became brighter as the saber rose into the air. Tempering, a roar sounded out from the sky as the heavy hammer descended, and the saber light was instantly shattered. The heavy hammer continued to descend, and Zichen's defenses were shattered. The battle armor that Kong Hongye had spent a lot of effort to refine for him also exploded. A massive explosion sounded out as the battle armor shattered, and Zichen's body flew backwards. As he flew backwards, a trace of blood leaked out of his lips. His face was pale, and his eyes were filled with shock. The destruction of his battle armor had allowed him to block the opponent's attack. The difference in strength between a grade 1 native and a grade 2 native was simply too great, and Zichen could clearly feel the pressure. "You actually didn't die? This is interesting. I wonder if you have any more battle armor to block my second attack." The craftsman native coldly laughed and once again stepped forwards, unleashing the same attack. This was a move that they had used to refine weapons. This kind of attack could even deform the toughest material, let alone a fragile human body. This was the most basic and simple move, but it was also the most terrifying because it contained laws. The instant the heavy hammer descended, Zichen felt the space around him being suppressed. Even with the heavenly thunder wings, he could not dodge. At this moment, he was like a tough piece of material that could not dodge the weapon refiner's attack at all. Since he could not dodge, then he would fight. He roared as his lightning constitution exploded out once again. He clenched his right hand into a fist and punched towards the sky. This fist was very small, but it was very bright. The power of his lightning constitution had gathered at a single point. Explode! The instant the fist and the heavy hammer collided, the power contained within the lightning constitution exploded out. The power of the lightning constitution was already berserk, and now that it was combined with the explosive thunder fist, its power was maximized. Rumbling sounds filled the heavens and earth as boundless lightning covered the surroundings. A powerful aura continuously surged out. Under the powerful shock waves, Zichen's body continuously retreated. Light continuously flowed around his body, dispelling the destructive power around him. Across from him, the craftsman race's second-rank king was sent flying. A set of battle armor appeared on his body, dispelling the destructive power. At the same time, his face became pale. Zichen retreated dozens of feet, while his opponent retreated thousands of feet. Chapter 30:30. Wang Erpin from the craftsman race coughed up blood. His originally mocking eyes were now filled with shock. What kind of attack is this? Wang Erpin's attack contained the great path of nature, which was also the laws of nature. He could treat everything as an object to refine. Coupled with the absolute suppression of his realm, the power of this attack could be imagined. It was like when he was refining and found a low-grade material in front of him that was not worth mentioning. If he was a little more serious, this material would be wasted. Right now, Zichen was like that piece of low-grade material. However, under the circumstances where he was serious, not only did he not fail to refine it, he even suffered a backlash and was injured. Wang Erpin from the craftsman race looked at Zichen in disbelief. He could not accept that he was injured by the backlash. However, if he knew that Zichen's thunder body was not a power of this world, and that the thunder explosion was a technique that matched the thunder body, he seemed to understand why Zichen's attack was so powerful. Wang Erpin's attack belonged to the great path of nature, but it was still within the scope of the world's laws. However, Zichen's attack did not need to be controlled. It was a power that surpassed the laws and did not need to be controlled by the laws. Wang Erpin from the craftsman race shouted angrily. He was not convinced and stepped forward again. The giant hammer in his hand released a strong light again. Zichen naturally used the thunder explosion. Facing an opponent of this level, the only thing he could resist was the thunder explosion. There was a huge explosion. The power of the thunder explosion completely exploded. The scattered power of thunder with destructive fluctuations enveloped the body of the craftsman race Wang Erpin. His body flew backward again. Small lightning arcs flashed on the surface of his armor. Puff! After stabilizing his body, he coughed up a mouthful of blood. His face became even paler. He had lost. This time he had to admit it. A Wang Erpin with the suppression of the laws was no match for a God race member like Wang Erpin. One had to know that even those of the netherworld realm could restrain them. Swoosh! With a flash of light, 2 more people appeared. They were the 2 Wang Erpin from before. One of them was from the Spirites, while the other was from the soldier race. The 2 of them arrived next to the 2nd grade craftsman king. The 2nd grade Spirites king, Ao Meng, asked, "How is it?" "He is indeed very strong. If we allow him to continue living, he will definitely become a disaster for us in the future." The craftsman king wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth as he spoke. The existence from the Bin race nodded. "That's right, we definitely can't let him live." With that, the warrior of the soldier tribe rushed toward Zichen. As he rushed forward, a beam of light appeared in his hand, which turned into a long sword. The soldier race would awaken a natal weapon when they were born. Their future strength was closely related to this natal weapon. The moment the long sword appeared, a sharp aura spread out in all directions in this domain. The soldier held his sword and slashed down. A waterfall appeared in the domain, and the sword light followed the momentum. Zichen unsheathed his saber. With a clang, the sword light that shot out shattered, and Zichen's body flew far away. A cold smile appeared at the corner of the soldier race's king's mouth, but in an instant the smile froze. A black hole appeared beside him, and from the black hole, a fist surrounded by black light appeared. It was extremely powerful and landed on the soldier race's king's body. The black light exploded in front of the soldier race's king, enveloping his body. This sudden attack caused him to cough up blood and fly backward. In the distance, the two people looked ahead in shock. The clone walked out of the void. Black light surrounded his body, and a terrifying aura was released from his body. The divine power of the past had turned into the power of the underworld at this moment. Underworld. Seeing the clone covered in black light, the two people behind him cried out in surprise. Swoosh! The clone rushed forward and used the divine race's fleet-foot step. Although his energy had changed, his combat skills were not affected. Leaving behind afterimages, the clone arrived in front of the soldier race's king. The soldier race's king shouted and stabbed forward with his long sword. This sword was extremely sharp. The sword light contained the power of rules, and it sealed the clone's body. The power of the underworld on the clone's body surged, and the suppression of rules was broken in an instant. He dodged slightly and dodged the sword. Then he punched out again. Boom! The fist light exploded, and the black energy exploded. The soldier race's king coughed up blood and flew backward again. Seeing this, the two people behind him were shocked, and they rushed forward without hesitation. Zi Qin and his doppelganger also joined forces and rushed forward. The thunder body was very powerful, but it consumed a lot of energy in a battle, so it could not last long. Moreover, their realms were one level lower, so Zi Qin could barely deal with one of them. As for the other two, he left them to his clone. The power of the underworld in the clone's body was abundant, and with the help of various divine skills, it was naturally very powerful. However, the natives were not weak either, and they had the advantage in terms of rules. A black fist light was smashed by the hammer of the king race's king. After destroying the fist light, he did not slow down and smashed on the clone's body. The clone clenched his fists and crossed them in front of his body. The black energy formed a defense. Accompanied by the explosion of energy, the clone's body flew backward. As he retreated, a sharp cry rang out as a spirit eagle flew over from the side, its sharp claws swiping at the doppelganger. Whoosh! The clone's body flew far away, and his hands quickly formed a seal. Boom! The void suddenly shook, and a pitch-black palm fell from the sky. This was the god-slaying palm, a heavenly god skill. The palm print hit the spiritual eagle and exploded. The spiritual eagle fell down, and its aura weakened. The craftsman race's king race rushed forward again. The other party was very difficult to deal with, and he had armor. As for the injured soldier race's king race, the clone used the 9 Extremes weapon to fight. The two sides were evenly matched, and there was no deliberate suppression. Go to hell! The soldier race's king race's eyes flashed with killing intent. The weapon in front of him suddenly exploded with a strong light. The long sword in his hand suddenly split into 3. They fell from the sky and slashed at Zi Qin. This sword was very powerful. Zi Qin could not use his weapon, so he immediately put it away and punched. It was still the thunder explosion. This was his most powerful attack. The power of thunder exploded in the air, enveloping the 3 swords. Zi Qin's body was sent flying by this energy. The soldier race's king race was also sent flying, coughing up blood. Whoosh! Zi Qin, who was sent flying, unfolded the heavenly thunder wings on his back. He instantly increased his speed to the maximum. At the same time, he also used the last bit of thunder power in his body. As the thunder power exploded, the craftsman race's domain rumbled. At the same time, a flash of lightning appeared. Before the soldier race's king race could stabilize his body, Zi Qin had already arrived beside him, unsheathing the long sword in his hand. The blade was infused with the last bit of thunder power, and it swept forward. A natural rule, light appeared in front of the blade and blocked it. Chapter 3031. The rule light that appeared naturally couldn't block the power of the thunder body. It shattered with a bang, and blood splattered in front of him. The head of the second-grade king of the soldier clan flew high into the air. The light around his body dissipated, and his body fell to the ground. As for the long sword in his hand, which had become one with his life, it immediately shattered and turned into pure energy. Swish! The spirit-devouring king grass appeared and pierced through the dead second-grade king's body. It began to devour the energy in his body. After killing one person, Zichen's energy had reached its limit. He didn't continue to attack. He was very glad that he went to the Netherworld and obtained the power of the Netherworld. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to survive this crisis. A stone saber appeared in the doppelganger's hand. With the power of the Netherworld enveloping his body, he rushed toward the spirit eagle. There was a loud tremor, and several energy fluctuations spread out. The spirit eagle's body was split into two by the stone saber. It turned into specks of light and scattered into the world. The black light on the doppelganger's body was also scattered. His chest caved in, and he coughed up blood and flew backward. His combat power was not much different from his real body. The only thing he relied on was that his real body was more powerful. At this moment, his real body had no power. He could only risk his life to kill the two people in front of him. Without the spirit eagle, the Soul Clan was like half dead. His aura weakened rapidly, and his combat power was reduced by 80%. The doppelganger rushed forward again. Surrounded by black light, he displayed the fleet-foot stride to the extreme. The second-grade king of the Soul Clan retreated. A set of armor appeared on his body. The armor exuded a heavy aura and propped up a defensive light. The doppelganger approached, and the stone saber swept across the armor. A clean and smooth cut was made, and the armor was split in the middle. At this moment, whether it was because of the sharpness of the stone saber or the power of the Netherworld, the armor was cut in two and fell from the body of the second-grade king of the Soul Clan. The second-grade king of the Soul Clan retreated in horror. He had spent a lot of money to get the armor from the craftsman. He had never used it before. He didn't expect that it would be broken in one blow when he used it for the first time. At this moment, he felt a dangerous aura behind him. However, before he could turn around to check where the danger came from, the special protection of this world appeared on its own. Bang! However, this nomological protection, which could block many celestials, was still unable to protect him. It was the spirit-devouring monarch grass that had launched the attack. Its single leaf instantly pierced through the protection of the laws and pierced into the body of the spirit-devouring monarch grass that had lost its soul beast, carrying his body into the distance. The energy vibrated in front of him. The second-grade Soul King, who still had a chance to live, saw his clone get hit by the giant hammer. He coughed up blood and flew backward. After that, he didn't see the scene of his clone being killed. His vision became blurry and his consciousness dissipated. The doppelganger's face was extremely pale. Even the netherworld energy on its body had become dim. The craftsman race's Wang Erpin was in a much better state than him, but his expression was extremely ugly. This time, he had assumed that the three of them would be able to easily deal with the other party. Unexpectedly, the other party had a doppelganger. Moreover, it was a doppelganger in the netherworld state. Now that his two companions were dead, even though his opponent's true body had lost its ability to fight, and his clone had also consumed a lot of energy, he still did not have the confidence to kill his opponent. The doppelganger didn't give the second-grade craftsman king any time to hesitate. It charged forward again. When the powerful energy surged, the clone used its strongest technique. The stone saber slashed out and collided with the craftsman race's weapon. The energy vibrated in the sky, and an even more powerful fluctuation spread out. Within this fluctuation, the second-grade craftsman race's Wang Erpin shouted. The original spatial seal disappeared in an instant, and the domain appeared behind the other party. It turned into a powerful force and gathered in the heavy hammer. Fluctuations spread out from the heavy hammer, causing the space to distort. The power was even more terrifying. It was as if the heavy hammer carried a great force. It smashed down, and the void began to tremble violently. A powerful aura descended from the sky. The doppelganger's expression became extremely serious, and it also pushed the netherworld energy in its body to the limit. With a loud bang, a powerful ripple spread out. Wherever the ripple passed, the space distorted violently. The doppelganger flew backward and coughed up blood. The second-grade craftsman race's Wang Airpin was not much better off. At this moment, the spatial seal around them had disappeared. If Ziqin entered the world and left now, he would naturally be able to do so without any obstructions. However, he didn't leave. He stood in the distance, coldly looking ahead. The doppelganger rushed forward again, and the energy collided. Accompanied by a powerful fluctuation, the doppelganger and Wang Airpin retreated again. After stabilizing its body, the doppelganger didn't even bother to wipe the blood from the corner of its mouth. It rushed forward again. The netherworld energy in its body was rapidly depleting, and the second-grade craftsman race's Wang Airpin was getting worse and worse. After several consecutive collisions, the two's auras became very weak. The second-grade craftsman race's Wang Airpin glanced at Ziqin, but didn't try to be brave anymore. He turned around and left. Whoosh! A sharp whistling sound came from the void. The only leaf of the spirit-devouring grass pierced through the air. It was like a long spear piercing toward Wang Airpin. Wang Airpin's expression turned cold, and he smashed the heavy hammer in his hand. A dull sound came out, and several white marks appeared in the void. The only leaf of the spirit-devouring grass curled up and flew into the distance. The doppelganger rushed forward again, and the stone saber in its hand was raised high. The netherworld energy lingered on the saber, and it instantly slashed out. The other party raised the heavy hammer to block. A loud sound came out, and Wang Airpin's body flew backward. He was ready to use the force to escape. "You can't escape." At this moment, an indifferent voice suddenly came from behind him. It was Ziqin's voice. Wang Airpin's expression changed when he heard this voice, because he didn't notice that there was someone behind him at all. Before he could turn around to respond, the protective light shield of the law naturally appeared. The next moment, an even more powerful rumble sounded. Wang Airpin, who turned around, saw many dazzling thunderbolts exploding around him, wreaking havoc. This was the power that Ziqin had gathered, and it was all used up in this attack. Standing in the air, he looked at Wang Airpin, who was flying backward, and a cold smile appeared on his face. Such a strike was more than enough. The law defense on the surface of the other party's body exploded. While his body was still unstable, the doppelganger that followed behind had already attacked. The stone saber slashed across the other party's body and swept past his armor. Sparks flew, and a cut appeared on the sturdy armor. The armor was broken. Wang Airpin's expression changed, and a deep sense of fear appeared in his eyes. A sharp whistling sound came from the void. The spirit-devouring grass's attack had arrived. Puff! The slender leaf pierced through his body and began to devour his energy. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.